Aphantasia in the internal link, by the way.
All right, and it looks like we are live, and YouTube is behaving better this time. All right. And hey, look at that. My chat even showed up here, so it will be even easier to get the chat going there. Oh, come on, is it? Alright, but yeah, we can keep talking. We are live now, so as people come in, if they have something to say, they will get to chime in with us.
Yeah.
Ah, there we go. So I saw your message there, Bo.
Yeah, and I really do hate those guys doing that. First, second, third. Shut up. But it's never not funny if you do it yourself, of course, obviously. So. Oh.
Well, Bionic,
I did.
Bionic Dance does it, but she does it in a funny way.
Hmm?
Bionic Dance does first, but she does it in a funny way on her videos.
This is quite true.
I haven't seen much of her stuff. Only, I think, well, maybe 2 live streams I've seen her in. One of them was on, I think it was Stephen McCray or Great Debate Community or something like that, where she, together with someone else as well, discussed things with a, can't even remember the subject. It was about faith, I think. It was really bad. Well, it turned into homosexuality as well, and then it got really bad, and she got ticked off, and she laid out the lines. That was awesome to watch, though. But she got really pissed off, I think, with that one. But I can't remember when or where that was.
A couple weeks ago, she was on a hangout, and some guy just was interrupting her over and over. I think it was Ocean. He wound up apologizing after Steve basically told him he was being a douchebag.
Oh, maybe that was the one I'm thinking about.
I don't think it was about homosexuality. It was just about some philosophical definition or usage. I meant usage.
Yeah, I do believe I heard a golden retriever disagreeing loudly in the background there.
No, if you're talking about from my end, no, it was a charcoal lab.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, you can't hear color, so some people can. That's a different thickness.
Yeah, that's a different story. I mean, a lab is a lab, and the main difference between a lab and a golden is one is physically more high maintenance.
Really?
Well, yeah, a golden retriever, to take care of them properly, you gotta make sure that that coat doesn't get matted.
Oh, I mean, when I grew up, we had a black lab, a purebred black lab, and you call them. The Germans don't, but you call them German Shepherd.
The GSD.
One dog. GSD.
German Shepherd dog. That is the actual breed name here in the U.S.
Yeah. It had the most funny ears you can imagine. It had the German Shepherd ears from the base to the half height, and then it had the lab ears. That it was so funny. I mean, those were pig ears.
So it only stood up halfway.
Yeah, it really looked stupid. But I only had that guy for what, a year and a half or something. He caught something nasty in the park, so he was put down, sadly.
What do you call a German Shepherd in Danish land?
Schäfer. Schäfer.
I'm guessing it was
is a word for dog.
I'm guessing it's a World War II joke.
You think so? German Shepherd. Well,
in Denmark, what would you call it?
Well, Schäfer.
Or were you actually being serious, Chew?
Hey, it sounds reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah, but see, that's generally where you get really funny, is the those questions that sound like serious questions, but then you get the comedic response.
You mean the typical banter that we have?
Oh, yeah.
What was that joke for Monty Python's Joke Warfare?
I'm drawing a blank on that one.
Hitler has a dog with no nose. How does he smell? Terrible. Supposedly the British joke for...
You know what, Bo? You know what, Bo? You just might,
Yeah.
You won't be so outnumbered now.
Yay. Please tell me it's Sean to pick on me.
No, it's actually someone else. I don't know if you've ever met this guy. To those who... Well, to those who are familiar with Gem Panda's Discord and prior to that, Earth Discussions, Pure Anarchy. He's coming on.
Yeah. Gem Panda's Discord, the place you go for a free headache.
Pure Anarchy? He a flat earther?
No, he's one of the good ones.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, I've had enough flat earth today.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, he has made it an art to troll them in the text chat of that particular Discord. I might remember wrong, but...
Trolling some of them is entirely too easy. Hey, Ace decided to show up.
Yeah. I'm wondering if Spurkimo or Chemo ever decided to take me up on my I wouldn't say challenge, but my request of talking to some of his buddies and contacting a local ham radio club and ask them about. I think Terman was there. If some of you may know who that is. I asked him how it would be possible, both on a flat Earth and a globe Earth, to have a beam antenna, a directional antenna on a mast, and pointed directly at a different station, thousands of miles away. But you can't get in contact with the station. You can't hear him, and the other station can't hear you. But in some circumstances, if you turn the beam antenna 180 degrees, bam, you get a great signal. How would that be possible? I really hope that he did take me up on that one. And he at some point comes up with it.
Do flat earthers deny the existence of the ionosphere?
Some of them conflate the ionosphere and also the Van Allen belts with the firmament.
Yeah. But it's a mix. I mean, the ionosphere doesn't come up all that often, practically never. I would say, in that it's barely a discussion, but in relation to their weird ideas.
Yeah, they'll just say it bounces off the firmament.
Yeah.
I don't suppose they even know what the ionosphere is.
I know. Which, you know what? There was another guy that was over there who annoyed me into actually digging through some of my old paperwork that, of course, I still have. The guy, Free-Minded. Bo, did you hear what he was saying?
Free-Minded. The name rings a bell, but not sure when.
Well, so he...
Or if it was in the Jim Panda or whatever, I can't remember.
Yeah, it was over there that I ran into him. But, so, his whole thing is, he currently lives in Japan. He claims he's ex-Navy, but I have my doubts. I'm not outright going to say that he's being dishonest in his representation. It's just, there are a few things that don't add up. Like, so, how many... we've got a bunch of other Navy guys here. If I just asked you, what was your NEC? Would you understand what I'm asking?
I was a 14NO.
Yeah.
The 14 NV.
FT 1179.
Yeah, this guy didn't know what I was talking about.
Now, he could have been a striker.
Oh, no, he claims he was an MM. Straight from boot, straight to A school, straight to the boat.
And for those...
he said submarines and he didn't have an NEC.
No, he said he was in the power plant of the Kitty Hawk.
Oops.
Yeah, that may be correct, but I mean, that was a conventional carrier, so he wouldn't have some nuke NEC or something like that.
No, he wouldn't have the nuke NEC, but there are still a fuck ton of surface MM NECs.
Sure, yeah. What was his rate? He said he was an MM?
Yeah.
For those of us who are not Navy, MM?
Machinist mate.
Repair technician.
And,
yeah.
And NEC stands for Naval Enlisted Code.
Which is your specialty within that overall grouping.
Yeah, if you have a specialty, you'll be assigned. I mean, I was 14 QM, 14 NB, which is the last one I got, which was assistant navigator.
I was working on my ANAV calls when I was getting out.
Yeah.
Why does it always sound like when I hear Navy guys talk about their time in the Navy, why does it always sound like they're talking about their time in jail?
Because that's essentially what it was.
Join the Navy or go to jail thing.
No. Well, think about it. When you deploy and you go out to the field, you're going to another landscape. When we deploy, we're staying in a tin can and bouncing around somewhere in the water.
Oh yeah, and you practically don't know where you are.
Well, you're in a tight berthing space with a whole bunch of other guys for extended periods of time. It's jail.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. That kind
oh yeah. Like even when I got to my initial follow-on training, my A school in Pensacola, Florida, we referred to the different barracks that we were in as cell blocks.
Sure.
Hey, Father Skeptic's coming in.
If the shoe fits, I mean.
But yeah, I can see an MM not knowing, an MM on a carrier not knowing what an NEC is.
Yeah, it still don't smell right because
you got some schmuck MM who couldn't get into any other rating.
Yeah, well, granted, at the same time, this guy was an abject idiot who thinks the Earth is flat as well.
Yeah, there you go.
Looks like we got another bubblehead in the chat. Average Joe 11.
Oh, is he? Hey, Joe.
It is jail. Yep, that's what we were saying.
So, what is Average Joe doing just in the live stream chat, not in here? Just asking.
Yeah, get him in here, please.
Yeah,
hey, Bo, I have a question. I have a question for you, Bo. How does
I didn't do it.
Well,
I didn't do it.
My question was about stolen valor. So you're getting very defensive. Are you really not military? So yes, how does your country take stolen valor? Here, it's a federal offense to impersonate a.
Well, it
military.
was.
What do you mean by stolen valor?
It was a federal offense. The Supreme Court shot it down.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm unaware of that.
Yeah, it's only an offense if you actually gain anything from it, like a compensation from it, for like money.
Okay.
Something of real value.
Well, actually, they are going by the federal definition of a gift or bribe, which is anything of value over $50. So so
they can still beg for money.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it depends on the value of it. So if say someone takes them out to a meal and they go hog fucking wild, oh yeah, they cross that $50 threshold, they're fucked. And keep in mind that $50 threshold is not an individual thing; it is cumulative.
Oh, really?
Yep. So they do it long enough, they're still, they will still. Yes, Squirrel, I hear you. Give me a moment. I'm trying not to bog down my stream. But yeah, as long as cumulative they hit or go over that $50 limit, they are fucked.
But no, team, to answer that one, I have no idea actually. But I would say that as long as Denmark is not in a war situation, in other words, as long as no one has declared war on the country, the civil, what would you call that, penal code or the civil law is in effect. If you are a conscript or if you are under a contract and you go AWOL or something like that, you will get punished for it, but it won't be, and it will maybe be dealt with harder than if it was, a civilian doing the same thing. If it was under war conditions, it would be really bad.
How does the public take it though? I mean, do you guys like have that problem like we have that problem here in America?
I don't think so, no. I mean, no offense, because I don't know how the word patriot is being used specifically in the States. It's probably being used in many different ways by many different Americans, but we don't have that. I mean, we don't have this patriotism mindset in Denmark the way you do. There are many people who support the troops, but there's no why the hell did he not take why the fuck did he take a knee instead of standing up, and that kind of thing. It just doesn't happen actually. It's not that big of a deal.
Well, they do that here. They freak out about people not standing for the anthem because there is a protocol as delineated in the Constitution.
A set of voluntary rules for civilians? Is that how it's supposed to be?
The rules technically are voluntary. They're not. People make an issue of it, but it's not like anything criminal going on. It's
a general sign of respect.
Yeah, that's all it is. So.
Yeah.
It's the same with the flag code. It's like there's like a civilian doing something like dropping the flag on the ground isn't a big issue. Legally speaking.
Legally, because it does. There are a lot of things that a lot of people think would be illegal that you can do to the flag that actually, as a civilian, falls under First Amendment and free speech and protest rights. But you do that in front of the wrong people, you're gonna get your ass kicked.
Oh yeah, we did it in Dallas not too long ago. Me and a few friends were down at the statue protest, and we were looking for people hanging the flag upside down, people putting it on the ground. We were just going to snatch it from them. But there was no protest. They just didn't show up.
And this hanging the flag upside down, that's sign of distress in naval terms, right?
Great distress, absolutely.
Yeah.
What I always took an issue with that I found funny though is the situation where one civilian is correcting another civilian doing something bad with a flag, yet they're displaying the flag wrong themselves. That's all.
Oh yeah.
Actually, a very weird. Here in Denmark, many years ago, there was a social gathering for Danish naval officers and a couple of dignitaries and whatever it was, and some politicians. I was an AV technician at that point, at that time. Speakers, microphones, video projectors, cameras. Yeah, that sort of stuff. And I was setting up that stuff while I saw a couple of corporals, putting up flags. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that they put the Stars and Stripes, they hang the flag instead of, putting it up on its side. They hang it freely. But they didn't leave the stars on the left. I had to, hey guys, you might want to not piss people off and then turn that thing around. They didn't actually believe me. Well, they got chewed out later when some I don't know who he was, but some I think he was a colonel or something. He came by to see what was going on, how things were going, and he noticed that, and it wasn't a good thing to see.
As they say, that sir is the end of that.
Trivia question for you. Mm-hmm. Only a few government installations are allowed to fly the flag 24 hours a day, like the Iwo Jima Memorial. But the requirement is the flag must be lit at night.
Yep.
There's one exception to that rule. What is that one exception?
On Black Friday.
Was it Tomb of the Unknown?
Nope.
Good question. I mean, in Denmark, we have this, it doesn't matter if it's military or civilian, you are not allowed, there's no law against it in civil law, but you do not leave your flag up, our Dannebro, as it's called, up during the night unless it is lit. However, if you have a can't even remember what is it called, a very thin, a pencil width shaped flag, that one is allowed to hang 24 hours with lighting, but you would get in big trouble if you did something like that. But I can't imagine what the conditions would be for that, for not lighting it up to be an issue there.
So where is this place?
The moon.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. It would be expensive as well.
Oh, come on, that was funny.
To have a flag detail up there.
In a great many ways.
Now I feel stupid.
It's why I came up with it in the first place.
I was gonna say, aren't the flags all bleached by now?
Pretty much.
Oh, we got a boomer guy in here, huh?
Huh?
There's a boomer guy in here too.
Yeah, that's me.
No, that's the U.S. flag code. The U.S. flag code specifically mentions that the U.S. flags on the moon do not have to be lit 24 hours a day.
Well,
gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, technically speaking, the flags up there were set by astronauts, but were they still technically in military service or civilian service at that time?
Absolutely.
No, Armstrong was a civilian.
Well, that too.
Time?
But
Yeah.
most
Yes,
of the astronauts were in fact military, or at least military derived test pilots. A lot of them.
No, Armstrong was a civilian.
He was also a test pilot, but that's beside the point. Harrison.
Yeah, he was a test pilot. He was former military, but when he walked on the moon, he was a civilian.
Yeah, he was not active.
If I remember correctly, Harrison Schmitt was the last person on the moon, and I don't know if he'd ever been military.
No, he wasn't. He was a geologist.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing is when you look at the especially during the shuttle missions, it was only the commander and one other person that was military. Everyone else was a civilian scientist.
I think.
Well, no, I mean, it was a mix. I mean, some of the crew on those. I mean, they had scientists in there. Some of them were still were like former military or.
Yeah.
Well, the commander and pilot thing
wasn't John Young a civilian when he flew the first shuttle?
No, he was not.
Someone could look that up.
Well, I have a theory in terms of why there had to be a what was it? The commander and the pilot had to be a military personnel. The shuttle would never have literally left the ground if it wasn't for the Air Force. It was a shared expense between NASA and the Air Force in order for the Air Force to launch, secret stuff up there.
Bo,
so maybe that's why.
Bo, that's not entirely true. The Navy actually put in most of the training material, having seen these things, including the zero-G tanks or the microgravity tank. There's a lot of things in terms of the training equipment that was done almost exclusively by the Navy.
That would make sense, though. I mean,
well, there's more to it than that. There was never a limit on the number of military personnel on board, because there have been several times where as many as 5 have flown a shuttle mission, and been that were military, and in fact had been the entire crew.
Well, we've seen plenty of documentaries and whatnot on TV showing astronauts training for shuttle missions and so on, and ISS work in huge tanks. But did they ever do that during the probably not Gemini, but the Apollo era? Did they use tanks back then for a simulation?
In some cases, yes. It depends on what you were doing. For the tanks were originally put in for practice spacewalking. That was their purpose.
Yeah. Well, I did see some. I know we shouldn't really talk all that much about flat earthers, but it's just a minor thing. A couple of days ago, I saw a couple of minutes, then I left it because it was too stupid. A guy who was convinced that the moon landings and blah blah blah, that was filmed in a blimp hangar in the U.S. in Arizona, I think it was, and he showed pictures. I don't know if they were, excuse me. I don't know if they were doctored by him, someone else, or they were real. But he showed some pictures where at least one astronaut in training gear or whatever, in a harness with a some type of balloon attached to it, supposedly to simulate lower gravity. But it was supposedly filmed in an airship, a blimp hangar.
So I'm going through the shuttle missions one by one, and taking a look at the crew complement to see the military. And right now, I just did the 2 crews that did all the approach and landing tests of Enterprise, and.
Gotta love Star Trek.
Air Force captain, Air Force colonel. Angle was a what level general? 2-star major general, Air Force. And then the pilot on crew 2 was a vice admiral. Well, retired as a vice admiral from the Navy.
That still counts. Okay, for the record, Bo, I can tell you where that picture came from. and it came from a MythBusters episode, in which they completely demolished what he says it represents.
Well, I was a MythBusters addict when it was being aired. I don't recall them being in an airship hangar for testing moon stuff ever. I wouldn't be surprised at him using that, but
there is such an episode. I don't remember which one it was, but it was about 2/3 of the way through. They went out of their way to try and debunk the moon landings because everybody was accusing them of not doing the stuff they like. And they should succeed in confirming all of the major flat Earth myths that had come about. But that was in fact the only time anybody had ever been put in a freaking harness to try and duplicate moonwalking. The balloons, I don't know where those came from, but they were not present.
No, but it was really ridiculous. I mean, the line going up to this so-called balloon was extremely long. It was, I mean, it's hard to see from a video, but it was at least 6 or 7, maybe 8 times the height of the guy in the suit. But the balloon itself, it was 2.5 times thicker than an average man, stomach to back. And the balloon was a standard person's torso in height. It was a tiny little. I mean, even if it was filled with hydrogen, it wouldn't produce any significant lift at all. Anyway, so I mean, if that was a literal picture from one of the MythBusters episodes, I seriously doubt it was real. It was probably even doctored at that point. I mean, I don't know my physics here, but a balloon of that size, let's just be very generous and say it has a volume of half a cubic meter, probably less, but oh well. And you fill that thing up with hydrogen, what would that thing weigh? Plus the balloon itself, plus the line going down. And it was a long line. It was absolutely ridiculous.
The correct answer is a shitload.
Yeah, don't say.
I would have weighed quite a lot.
Yeah. Oh well.
Training for spacewalk is not a lot of fun, I can tell you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, just for the sheer nerdiness of it, I can't even say that in English. Damn it. On May 20th, I turned 40 years old, and for quite a while now, I've been helping out Scientist Mel on YouTube on her live streams as a moderator, but also helping out with links and so on in the live streams on both all the places almost that she does her live streams. She went to a NASA social that was actually the rocket was actually launched at May 20th. She gave me a little Christmas, damn it. Yeah, thank you. Birthday present, where she had the I think it was called a chief was it press officer or something to that effect? The boss of this NASA social event give me a birthday greeting. I just thought about it a little bit more a couple days later. I've seen that woman before. I looked her up. She's actually a former astronaut too. That was kind of weird.
Nice.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. But
what was her name?
Oh well. I would have to look that up actually. I'll go look for it.
Actually,
Let's see.
But yeah, so what I was getting to before, because of that guy over in that channel, I actually went through and started listing the number of individual systems that I worked on and the number of NECs that I either officially held or had the OJT in. And holy shit, I could have had 10 of them. Just NECs alone.
I only officially had 2.
Well, I officially had 4. All in the same shop.
Because I had 1179, then I had 9526. So.
I have no idea what those are.
Well, the 4 I had was 6611, 6710, 6717, and 6609. So that's aircraft UHF.
Is absolutely nothing.
I'm about to explain them. The first one is UHF communication, automatic direction finding, and intercommunication systems. IMA, intermediate maintenance tech. The second one is P3 navigation systems. The third one is P3 peculiar communication equipment. And
sorry about that.
And the last one was aircraft electronic identification, IFF tech. But
my two 1179 was AN Busy 1, intermediate organizational level maintenance and repair operation. And 9526 was micro miniature electronic repair and miniature electronics repair.
Yeah, if I pushed for it, I could probably have gotten the micro min, but you know,
well,
soldering is easy.
Back
what was your rating? Is that an FC?
That was an FT.
FT, okay.
Back then, we did component level troubleshooting, so they don't do that anymore.
Hey, when were you in? I was at ET.
I was the 90s.
I was in the I guess the early 2000s, right before September 11th is when I got out.
I got out in '99, so
I got out in 2011.
God, well, at least I'm not the one who was last in. Or wait a minute, Joe. How old are you?
I'm 35.
God damn it! I'm still the youngest.
my fire control system isn't in use anymore.
That's funny.
Does anybody still know if
like an old man here?
Does anybody still know if they use the TACAN on top of the ships?
Submarine guy, man. I have no idea.
Oh yeah. Who else? You're Joe?
Yep. I'm Joe.
It'd be Jared. Joe is a nuke. You don't know shit.
Nope. I don't know shit. I'll be honest, man.
Just know how to sleep. That's about it.
Yes, that is.
I believe the RAF still use the TACAN system.
Oh, yeah, that was one of the ones that I could have held, the TACAN, because we used the ARN 151, the 84, and the 118.
Yeah, I was 25. So mine was more based on was more of the receiving end, not the aviation end.
Okay, yeah, you did the ground stations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the ICAP, the airborne portion of it. And what was funny is the cycle after I made second class, one of the guys in my shop was just happy as shit when the pre-test came out, because most of the in-rate stuff was going to be IFF. Was going to be TACAN. Combination TACAN and IFF. So he was our resident guru on the TACAN stuff, because that's like all that he really worked on. So he was like, oh yeah, I'm nailing that part. It may only be like 25 or 30 questions, but I'm nailing the fucking shit out of them.
The fuck was a pre-test?
Well, no, so the Rex. So about 3 months before the test cycle, they'd put out, hey, here's the things that you should know.
Bibliography.
Yeah, the bib.
Bib. Great name. Yeah.
So when that came out and he saw it, he was like, oh, fucking right. I was like, what? It's like, it's TACAN. They never have TACAN on it, and it's there.
So, as a air defense conscript, I know all about IFF, but what is TACAN?
It's the tactical communication and ranging.
Yeah. So what a TACAN is every airport in the world has a TACAN. Basically, there's a
okay. Yeah, okay.
What it is it's an identifying. It sends out an identifying signal, and the transceiver, or I guess it wouldn't be a transceiver, but the receiver on the airplanes can actually use the different signals and pick out which airport they want to fly to. So that way, it helps in like over long distances.
With a list of AIS beacons to in relation to different airports, and
that's right. And I think that's the more civilian term, I think.
Like
so
ADF,
basically the same
equipment.
Are you saying
gives you the range and bearing to the carrier for the ship?
Yeah.
So it's not it's basically the same, but it's just more elaborate than IFF.
No,
so
IFF is completely different. So IFF actually ties into the radar system, and it piggybacks off of the radar ping to where we will be able to identify, based on the coded receipt, is it a military craft? Is it a civilian craft?
Yeah.
What type of craft is it? Is it a friend or foe? That's why actually IFF stands for identify friend or foe.
Yeah. The only thing we were told that it's just, does it have is it squawking a number, a code, IFF code, or not? That was basically what we were told. And if it was in the correct range,
I think it's
not
just a radar signature.
7700 or 7600, we were more or less good. But
TACAN gets you back to your ship. IFF prevents you from getting shot down.
Everything pretty much should be returning IFF signals, really, because every aircraft should have a transponder on it, at least anything bigger than a single-engined Cessna.
Yeah, and not a military aircraft doing operations.
Well, yeah. So when they're about to, oh God, what did the Navy pilots call it? When they used to go feet dry. On an actual mission profile, they would actually turn off their IFF because that will actually give away where they are, because the IFF it runs off the radar pulses, but it's an interrogation response type of methodology. So while you have your regular radar detection going, you will also get an additional signal on top of that your radar system will tag that information onto. So like, even if you've seen in the movies where even a civilian airport and civilian traffic control, when they show the display with all the dots moving around and those numbered codes with it, the dot is the actual return of the local radar. That code that goes on with it is the IFF return that matches up with it.
So you don't get shot down.
In short, it's broadcasting a code, and when you don't want to be found, you stop broadcasting.
Yep. That was actually one of the reasons why on 9/11 they realized there was a problem, because it's like, hey, this aircraft is going in this way. Wait a minute, they just turned off their IFF. What the fuck?
Yeah. Ding, 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 warning signal. Yeah.
Well, the range you can detect an aircraft with, if it has its transponder and is on, is like 10 times the range you get from a regular radar signal. So
no, not really. The range for the IFF is pretty much the same as the range for a long-range search radar.
Yeah, they're running on the same amount of power, and that was one of the things the 70.
But if you have your transponder off, when you're if you have it on, if your transponder receives a signal from a radar, it will transmit a signal.
But the range for the range that the transponder system can work over is limited to approximately 300 miles, which is about at a maximum, which is just about what you can get from a long-range military search radar.
Yeah, I think both
because there's technical reasons why you can't have longer range on the transponder.
It's a power limitation, because the tubes that are in at least the APX 72, those fuckers ramped up hard, and if they were trying to increase the range on that, you would either have to change out the antenna to a different gain antenna, you would have to and because of the weight and balance and the way the system was designed, they couldn't put an additional amp on, because you would have to find a way to amplify the waveguide even more. So it actually was a hardware limitation on the transmit power of the actual interrogator. At least on the aircraft side.
on the ground side of it, there are limitations on the range gate that the base station will actually listen to the signal, and if the signal is outside of the correct timing, it will just disregard it.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Because I actually worked on the ground side of it.
Yeah, I worked with ground radar too. And yeah, you're right. But everybody's really right here. If you took the power of a ground radar and put it into an airplane, then it would have the same distance, or it would have the same power, but it would now be focusing. It would have less of a limitation because of its elevation.
Yep.
So, but what Jared is saying is correct. It's still going to propagate at the same rate. It just has less power. So the distances that they're both effective are essentially the same, but ground-based radar is way stronger than like if it was a flat Earth, we could see planes on the other side of the Earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Easy. Oh, yeah. Without, no question.
The radar in my avatar, it could see everything that was in service in the 1980s, including the F-117. It could see a 1 meter target at 250 miles.
Nice.
Total peak output power in excess of 60 megawatts at 3 gigahertz.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
That'll kill you.
Well,
that'll kill you.
What band were you operating in?
We were centered on exactly 3 gig, and we were operating plus or minus a couple of hundred megahertz.
Oh wow!
Okay.
All right, that's why you got the resolution to get the Black Hawk behind the oh fuck, what do they call it?
The Black
stealth
Hawk,
fighter. Yeah.
Yeah, we could see everything. The power output, we had 12 transmitters. The power output valve for the transmitter was about a meter in diameter.
Oh.
2 meters long, plus.
Oh, yeah.
Based on valve as well, right?
Yes, it was a Klystron. And I'm trying to remember exactly what we hit the cathode with. I think it was over 100. It was over 100 kV, and it was over 100 amps.
100?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought 500 would be enough. Damn.
You guys ever read about the capacitors they had at the BMUs, the ballistic missile early warning systems? The capacitors were 6 feet tall, 1 foot in diameter.
And about
and each capacitor was stored in its own armored room.
Yeah.
I wish I could actually pull off the Homer Simpson drool.
Oh no! When we started talking about the radar power, I started getting the voice of Tim the Toolman Taylor in the back of my head.
Well, I actually got to see a capacitor discharge into somebody live. The dude lived through it too, surprisingly, because it was a radar capacitor, so it was a high voltage capacitor, and it completely discharged into him.
How many joules would you think we would get?
The bubbleheads will enjoy this one. I was on the Seawolf, and some crank was compacting trash, and some knucklehead back aft threw a charged capacitor into the garbage. He compressed the trash before putting it in the can, and it sounded like it was like 100 feet aft of me, and it sounded like someone shot a shotgun.
Yeah, when they go off, when I was in Washington, there was an AT, a squadron level guy, who was up for a shore rotation, and he didn't want to do instructor, so they sent him to us at the IMA, at the intermediate facility. And when there wasn't much work going on and he was bored, what he would do is find the DC caps that were only maybe an inch and a half long, about half an inch to 3/4 of an inch wide, hook it up across the terminals of a power supply, crank the power supply up, turn it on, and walk away. And it's like, you motherfucker.
Hey, I mean, especially if it was a tantalum capacitor, it would have been a huge bang.
It was. But then there were other times when we had new people. If he was more frisky bored, he would have a pair of insulated pliers. He would charge it up, see where the amperage would start to fluctuate a little bit on the power supply, take it off, look at someone and say, "Here, catch."
Oh, shit. Okay. The only nasty fun I've had with high voltage capacitors was using them for I can't even remember what I would call it. You have a bank of capacitors, you charge them up, and you discharge them in about a 2.5 foot long 0 gauge copper wire, preferably solid core, and it had and you put just one loop in it, the exact same size of a beer can, and you stick preferably an empty beer can, because, well, we did try putting a not beer, obviously, but a soda can in there that hadn't been opened yet, and we discharged it with a very, very long broomstick on the. It was a very, very loud bang and a whole lot of mess.
That's
really
what happened to your knee, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it would probably look like the same thing.
He took a Coca-Cola bottle to his ACL. Can't walk right no more.
Well, luckily, the only electronic stuff that I ever encountered while I was in actually happened in school. So it was somebody pulling. We had in the Busy One system on the Flight 3 Los Angeles classes, we had a frequency converter. Took ship service power, converted to 400 hertz, 120 volt AC, because our consoles were made by Hughes Aviation. Go figure.
Well, you know these.
Power. But one of the trainers pulled, without shutting power off to this thing, mind you, first. Pulled the 250 volt AC feed off the back of this free converter.
Oh God, no! You did
What converter?
Oh. You know what? You know how they say, as an enlisted supervisor, like, E5 and below, you can't fire anyone?
This is an E6.
With this stuff, yes, you can.
Wait. I say, I used to believe that. It was like, you know what, you're in the military, you can't get fired. It's like, wait a minute. Then I got to Japan.
Accepted.
Oh, yeah. So I was in Japan. I had been running the shop for maybe 3.5 months. So we were just getting underway for one of our first major underway period after getting to Japan. And I still remembered the guy's name. I'm not going to say it on air because I don't want anything bad to happen to him if it gets out, but this guy was a fucking idiot.
Hey, that's Teach Skeptic's line.
Yeah, but they're so intermediate avionics tech. So you are working electronics on a ship at sea. What do you think we had to do with all of our test sets that were running on either 220 or 440? You other electronics people, what is the first thing you think we had to do before we could test anything and run any of the test benches?
Tag it out.
Well, not just like normal operation. So power applied running it. So normally you would have to ground it because they would use the case as a reference point on the test kits.
Oh, God.
And we're on a ship. So you're not going straight to a ground bar that's going to earth ground. You're going to ship steel.
Yeah.
So we had to take this one test set out of service because it was due to go down to the calibration lab. And this guy this is his NEC, this is his main gear, I told him, I was like, hey, you need to pack up this test kit with all its applicable cables so it can go down to the cal shop later today. I go back to my desk and start going through some other paperwork I had to. All of a sudden I hear, ow. It's like, what the fuck was that? It's quiet for a few minutes. It's quiet for a few minutes, and then I hear it again. Ow! I turn around. This fucker is standing in front of his test bench, and I see him go to reach. And right before he touches the power connector, I yell at him. It's like, hey! It's like, what? It's like, did you just fucking shock yourself twice? Well, yeah. How could you tell? It's like, one, I heard you, you dumb fuck. Two, I see the problem from here. It's like...
Was he blonde?
No.
You hadn't grounded it.
No. He took the grounding off.
He was the ground.
The grounding clips are the first thing you put on and the last thing you take off when you're disconnecting power. Yeah. So what it was is he was reaching up, he was touching the metal cannon plug of this 400 volt power that was coming from ship service into the test kit, and because he took off the freaking huge alligator clip, he was creating that reference for the ground. It's like, you dumb motherfucker. Within 2 days, he was in another shop working on someone else's equipment.
Yeah, we had something very similar happen with us. I was training somebody on how to do the weekly radio maintenance, and he reached inside without clipping his ground down. It didn't shock him, but it shocked the fucking shit out of the entire radio module for that frequency. We couldn't use that radio. We had to replace every single module inside of it.
You don't get popular doing stuff like that.
No, you don't, especially not with the Admiral.
No, but yeah, and you have to make a report on that. Like, you can't just say, oh, we need a new radio out here. And it's not like it's a singular module that goes into a radio. We're like, no, I need a whole new unit to transmit the frequency that airplanes are using right now. And they're like, what happened? Oh, Seaman so-and-so.
Yesterday.
Yeah, Seaman so-and-so came through and he reached inside without grounding himself. And now we have a burnt-out radio.
Golf clap. Okay, I'm still trying to look for the birthday present I received, the video file. I have it on my phone, but my brain's fucked. But I did find her name though. The astronaut I was talking about, Catherine P. Hire. She was a mission specialist on the STS-130. She looks a lot younger in that photo, really.
I'm looking at the live stream. I'm like, where's this coming up? I don't see it.
If anyone wants to share anything on the screen to everyone else in here in the live stream, just let me know, and I will make it so even the public can see it. I'm actually trying to pull it up now. I was actually responding to a message from Karis. I sent her. Yeah, I sent the invite to her. She's busy doing other stuff right now, which I'm not surprised. But I just reminded her that we're doing this weekly, Friday nights before movie night, so she's welcome in anytime.
So I have a question. Let's I think we have too many Navy people here to do this. But
Agreed.
I think hey, look here, dickhead.
What?
Okay. Look here.
Yes, I have. Yes.
Here. All right. So
Hey, I
was gonna
tried
say
to get some Army guys in here for you. They said
They're
okay,
scared of
but
our
haven't showed up.
intelligence. They're scared of our intelligence.
Oh.
We're better off looking for Air Force guys. Even they know to stay away as far away from us as possible.
I'm going to say we need some more Air Force
we can
guys.
agree on that. We can at least agree on that part. That's fair enough.
What in the actual fuck? Okay, Jay, if you want to share this on your screen, I will present you to all so everyone else can see that horror.
Okay,
I
let me
don't
pull up
like
the
the
window here.
voice. I don't like the sound of your voice there, Jared.
Oh, you will.
Sounds
You'll
ominous.
probably laugh your ass off at this.
You have
Let me get it in a separate
Really-
window so that way I'm not giving the link out here.
Chew, you're Navy, right? Chew bird.
Hello.
Yeah.
You're Navy, right?
All right, I'm sharing this now, Jared.
All right, 1 second, switching over.
Oh, I've seen that on the web before. Yeah.
God.
Damn, Aussies. Well, Australian.
Hey, it
India as
works. Works.
This is what you call an interior communications solution to a problem.
Hey, if the shit works, it works. As long as there's no kids around.
But see, I'm worried about the air gap between the one freaking nail
on.
clippers and the
yeah.
other post.
Let's see. To me, it looks like an American male plug, but the female plug that looks either Australian or I think it's Indian. Australia works on 240. I don't know about India, but I think they work on 240 as well.
Should we also
So-
point out they neglected to even take into account the necessity for a ground? Like they just did. That's death, guys. That's death waiting to happen. Children, if you're watching this at home, that's death. Okay.
This
Don't
is
do that.
not how you do it.
No, this is something you would do only once,
Yeah.
So
but then you won't be able to do it again.
this reminds me of a maintenance story, a 3M maintenance story that I have about the LETs, the logistical escape trunks that we have for submarines. They have a battery-powered communication circuit called the 7MC, and it's in case we lose power. Every week we have to pull the batteries out, take them individual cells apart, clean them, make sure everything's fine. I had to clean one, take it apart, and I, like any good technician, I map out where I put everything so that way when I put it back together, it goes back correctly.
And you don't wind up dead.
Pretty much. Or in this case, I was a seaman at the time, and one of the third classes decided to, quote unquote, help me because he was the auxiliary electrician forward. So he wanted to help teach me the proper way to do this.
Oh God.
I had to actually run and give a report to the navigator. So he put it back together for me, not paying attention to how I had done it. So they told me, oh yeah, it's done, taken care of, just go put it back. And this is all the way back in the engine room. Okay. Now I'm on an Ohio class submarine, so 560 foot long submarine. I'm taking this back there. I hook it up the way that I'm supposed to, because again, paid attention to what I was doing, not what he did. I ended up, once I hooked it together, when the engineering officer of the watch cued the 2MC microphone, it created a short in the line, creating an LED in the board for the actual 2MC connector. So they had no communication in engineering at all, except through radios. And it took us 3 hours to figure out, going through all the diagrams and all the wiring guides and everything, for us to find out what was going on. So we ended up going back to maneuvering, pulling out the panel, it's keying the mic, and sure enough, I created an LED inadvertently. Needless to say that third class got a chewing from not only the navigator, but our chief, who was a former IC-man. captain and the XO. And
that would be the 31 MC.
Yeah.
It's honestly at this point, I'm surprised he wasn't court-martialed on the spot.
Our captain was a little bit more forgiving. He was a devout Catholic, so he allowed the one mistake. The second mistake he made, he got busted from just earning his second class and getting paid for second class, busted down to E3 for shutting the battery compartment hatch on me while I was down there taking levels before we did a battery charge.
Oh, your skipper liked you.
Oh yeah, stupid loved me because he also reported back to maneuvering that I was clear of the well. So, needless to say, they like, wait, you weren't the one I was talking to. Where is he? At that point, I started banging, which is bad on a submarine, but I started, tapping on the hatch to be like, hey, you need to let me out. He's like, oh, you were still down there? I'm like, yeah, why didn't you just pop your head down and check?
Or I don't know, call down verbally and be like, hey, anyone in there? Give it some time.
I mean, it's not like I had chained off the area, to prevent anybody from going into the battery well, So, needless to say, I then outranked him, and he did not like that much anymore, because I made his life a living hell.
Good on you. But, that's one of the things, talking about creating an LED in the panel. My first duty station in Jacksonville, I get into the shop and walking around seeing how things are laid out and everything. It's like, oh, okay, we got high power stuff over here, we got high power stuff in this corner, and my shit's right in the middle. Beautiful. Which my stuff, a couple of the radios were on the higher end of power for UHF, VHF system, but nothing like the IFF on one end and the HF coupler on the other.
Ow.
Ooh. Yeah. So...
Oh, come on. It's just a healthy zing.
About a year in, we had this one coupler that just did not want to work. It did not want to behave. And I come around the corner and look, and I see one of our guys just like, shit you not, tactical dive and roll over the picnic table. That was a good 4 feet behind him. I look over at the coupler and I see one of the vacuum tubes glowing.
You yanks again. It's a valve.
Oh no! These were actual amplifier tubes. These were actual.
No, they're valves. They are valves. It's the proper name for them.
Well, we got it. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. The Yanks just keep raping the English language. It's horrible.
But these things
I'm
aren't.
with you there, Bo.
They're not supposed to glow blue.
Blue? No.
Yes, they are. Some of them are.
Well,
they
wouldn't be able to do it for long, maybe, though. But
oh no,
white, yeah.
Oh no! Every time they keyed it, there's one tube would start to glow, and it's like that ain't supposed to be doing that. But it didn't completely fail. It was shorted just enough to internally arc and light up.
Was it a nice purple glow?
It was close to purple. It was definitely more blue. It was definitely brighter than just purple. And one of the guys...
Jared, I just threw you a DM with the video there. At my birthday present. I'm not sure if it's all that interesting for the live hangout, but I mean for the live stream, but I wouldn't mind if it was put out there. But you can see her, this Catherine there, giving me the present. But she's a couple of years older than she was at the SGS-130 mission, which was in when 2010. That can be.
Yeah, making me have to open up Discord again.
Oh, you poor little fella.
Hey, well, I'm trying to keep. I'm trying to limit I'm trying to limit the resources so it runs properly for the stream.
Well, I don't know how much how much of in terms of resources Discord eats up the app, but technically speaking, wouldn't it use up?
Hi, Bo. Happy birthday. Hope you get a chance to watch our
if you
Terry's launch
opened
of our
it in a browser
module. That's quite a birthday candle. Happy birthday.
Yeah, it's a nerdy thing, but
oh well. It's up to you, Bo. Trying to think. I know I can show it and have the sound come through on the live end,
but we won't be able to hear it. Yeah.
That is the fun bit. I haven't, because of how long Red's Hangout went, I didn't have time to play with Voice Meter to make sure that I got the settings right so I could do both.
No, and I did notice that our last live stream there, the soundboard, the sound clip you threw out there that we didn't hear, it did
the
get
audience
through
heard.
the live stream. So, yeah, exactly. So, but there's no personal stuff in there at all. Yeah. So.
Yes, I'm over here. I just opened up the non sequitur show. Damn, they're gonna have Sargon of Akkad on next Thursday. Holy fucking shit!
You know what?
That is gonna be awesome.
You gotta give it to Steve for what he's been able to do with that channel in such a short time.
Yeah. I mean, Sargon of Akkad is probably the biggest political, biggest alternative media political speaker, at least from Britain or from the UK.
I really liked him in the beginning, but not so much anymore. He's it's you can't expect to like everybody, but he's kind of a dick sometimes. He's not my cup of tea, and certainly, I think it's Steve actually that has said before that he doesn't like him.
Really?
I'm not sure, but I think that the way he is as a person. I mean, Steve is professional enough to not let it bother him in a live stream, but.
And I think that is part of the freedom of speech that that I personally ascribe to. I think that everybody, even people you don't like, should have a place to be able to speak, and you should treat them professionally, because if they're idiots, they're gonna show their idiocy. If you let them speak, they're gonna sound like an idiot, and then everybody's gonna realize that without you having to even ad hominem. You know what I'm saying? Without having to use ad hominems against them, you can say, okay, well, let's just let you speak, and you can do that to yourself.
Yeah, I just got done watching his MythCon debate with what's his name, Stephen Thomas.
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
I was just like, how could this guy not realize that Sargon was not really trying, really, He was just letting him bury himself.
Yeah, because I'm completely I'm a very much centrist person. I don't agree with the right so much. I do agree with a lot more of the conservative viewpoints as far as just how I was raised,
right,
biases that I can't really do anything about because it's been so put into me since birth. But the problem with the left is that their argument is very sexy on paper. Oh, here, equal rights for all the women. Of course, that sounds like a fucking great idea. In fact, I 100% back that. And then when you get over there, you realize that that's not what it really means. It means more rights for the women than men.
The best description that I heard of it is that what they're actually saying, it's not that they want equal opportunity, they want equal results. Whereas even your true conservative side of the coin, we will go with the equal opportunity, but we want it kept at that. You have the opportunity. What you do with the opportunity is on you.
Right. So I'm a true believer of this right here. Evolution is more than just a biological construct. It's actually, if you find any system that has potential growth, okay? If you find any system that has potential growth, you will find or at least any adapting system, okay? Any system that has the room to make one decision versus another, it's going to follow evolution, an evolutionary pattern. Businesses that evolve with the times. So there was a time when there was no black people in the workforce, then all of a sudden you have black people that need jobs. So you're like, okay, do I maintain this white supremacy mindset and only go with whites, or do I test the waters and see if maybe bringing in some black workers will benefit my business? Or women or Chinese or midgets, whatever the case may be, whatever marginalized group in society, if they don't present, if the individual person does not present a value that's greater than what's already there or what's already out there, then the business should be able to choose to go with somebody else, regardless of race, sex, or sexual orientation. And that's not what the left wants. The left wants to say, but that's not fair. But what about this guy that didn't want to learn in school? Why can't we give him $100,000 job too? Why can't we take away all these millionaires in America so that everybody has $100,000? Well, then you have nobody who's broke. Everybody has the exact same. We're all the same. We're a fucking army of clones at that point.
Yep.
There's no identity to any of us. Your hard work means nothing because somebody else could sit on their ass and get paid exactly what you're getting paid.
Yeah, and that's where, who was it? I think it was Shapiro. Ben Shapiro. I heard it, the way he described it in a video that I watched a few days ago was that the liberal side, rather than taking a stance of a war on poverty, they're looking at it as a war on wealth. They want everyone at the same level. Whereas his standpoint, which I agree with, is you're wealthy, you're successful, great on ya. Keep up that shit. But I'm not going to take away from you to prop up this other bit. It's this other bit has the opportunity, has the means to actually put forth the work to be in a better financial spot. That's the way it should be looked at, is that in this day and age, as long as you are an able-bodied person, there is no reason for you to be living in any sort of poverty. It's all if you are an able-bodied person still living in poverty, it's a direct result of the choices you have made.
Yeah, and own up to it.
I totally agree with you guys on that, because right now I work in retail. I mean, I'm going to school to get a PR degree just to kind of get my foot in the door with the company, and then hopefully I'll be able to go back and do some math and sciences and maybe work on an engineering type degree, like electrical engineering or something like that. But the problem is with trying to find work that will take me, because I don't have as much technical experience as other people coming out of the Navy. I focus more on my quartermaster skills than I did a lot of other things. I'm barely making almost 30,000 a year, but that's because I made choices to do that, and I don't hold that against anybody else. I don't hold that against the people that work that I went to high school with, that are getting paid 60, 70, 80,000 a year. That was their choice to do what they wanted to do. Why should I begrudge them that? And that's exactly what I hear from Sargon and what you guys are saying. It's not so much that I should have an equal outcome. I should have the equal opportunity, and I chose not to take those same opportunities that other people had.
Right. And if you're born into a life that's a little bit harder or even much harder, guess what? Your purpose in this world is to make it easier on your children. So bust your ass for them and teach them to do it for their children. Before you know it, you'll be the next minority president, whether you're a woman or African American or Hispanic or Chinese. It doesn't fucking matter. You work hard enough in this country. This is the one country that gives you so much opportunity to bust your ass and fucking make something of yourself, regardless of the situation you were born into.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I was the youngest of 5 of a military family, so there really wasn't much financial help from my parents for me on an educational side. So, which is one of the reasons why coming out of high school, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to put myself into a ridiculous debt when I'm not even sure exactly what field I want to work in. And you know what? I don't want to sit around at home working some frickin' pissant job in this town. Fuck you guys, I'm going Navy.
I mean,
Thank you guys, I'm going home.
Honestly, I got into it the other night with a homeless person who approached me, and the first thing out of his mouth is, "I'm a veteran." And I said, I stopped him there and I said, "Hold on." I said, "You're a veteran. So you were given the same skills that I was given when I went through boot camp and was in the military. The discipline, the drive to do what is necessary for yourself, you know, to like if you're not coming at me right." He tried to flash me a card. I was like, "Put your card away. Regardless of whether you've been in the military or not, you didn't learn what you were supposed to learn. You were supposed to learn how to keep yourself out of these situations, how to recognize problems and adjust on the fly to those problems, so you have the least amount of fucking weight with me. These other people that were bums their whole life that just never fucking got it, you got it. You joined the military. You got it at some point. Unless you dropped out in boot camp, then you're not, you know, I don't know what to tell you at that point, but I sat there and talked with him for a few minutes and said, "Look, dude, you know, that don't approach people like that. I don't walk into Subway and say, 'Oh yeah, by the way, I'm a veteran. Do you have a discount?' No, I don't. It's not. I did it because I wanted to. I did it because I felt a national pride, you know, patriotism, as Bo had put it earlier. I felt that patriotism, and I said, you know, this is what I want to do. I want to do it for my country. I understand what these freedoms are that we have, whether, you know, people see them or not. I did. And I said, that's what I want to fight for, to ensure that I don't care about the rest of the world. I care about us. At that point, I was younger.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, I want to ensure that my kids, that my younger brother, who was, you know, 1 year old at the time, that he didn't lose these rights. And it stuck with me. And that's what made me join. And that's why I don't give any fucking quarters to these homeless people that come talking that, "Hey, help me out, I'm a veteran." No, there's fucking veteran services out there. Go fucking pick up a fucking phone book, call one of these places that get paid by the fucking government to help you out.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I always ask if they have a discount.
But then again, sometimes what that kind of person, all that person would need is a friendly kick in the ass to get it done.
No, and that's where
help him at every single point. But you know, just talk to him, get him, you know, well, just help him out, make that decision, and go seek help himself. Not to help him, but to help himself.
Yeah, well, and that's where I used to.
We don't know what's happened to him.
Yeah.
No, I mean.
Well, I used to drive around for work a fuckload more than I do now, and what I used to have a stack of cards from the local DAV and VA reps. So when I would see someone claiming to be a homeless veteran, rather than give them money or anything like that, I would give them one or both of those cards. It's like, you know what, you really look like you need some help, and you're saying you're a veteran? Well, here, get in touch with these guys, and they'll help you out.
You want to put odds on whether they used that card or not?
Oh, it's a 95% chance they didn't.
No, they didn't, because that requires effort.
Yeah.
That's another thing I don't get about these homeless people, and it's not veterans, it's homeless in general. They will spend 12 fucking hours walking in the sun, sweating their fucking asses off to pick up any kind of scrap metal, Coke cans, beer cans, bottles, instead of going and working an 8-hour job for 10 times that amount of money.
The weird thing I sometimes see in Denmark is homeless people with cell phones, beggars.
Oh
yeah,
started on that.
That's an American staple.
Yeah, not just Danish beggars, but also Romanian, I think, beggars that make a little living of it. They you see them beg for money. At one point, then a couple of minutes later, you see them with the phone talking to someone, and then all of a sudden, there's a beamer. Somebody's picking them up.
Oh yeah.
No,
yeah.
I mean,
when I was in Jacksonville, Florida, they had professional panhandlers who they weren't getting picked up. They would walk away far enough, like cut through a bush into a parking lot, and then drive away in a car that was better than mine.
Yep. Yeah, there's been a study that professional panhandlers. God, this was like 20 years ago. I saw this. Professional panhandlers make like $20 an hour.
Oh, easily more than that if they know where to go.
Yep. There's a guy who
average.
There's a guy in Seattle who stands by the ferry docks, just dressed dirt poor. Looks like he just crawled out of the sewer, selling candy that he gets at Costco from other people. You know, I know he's buying it himself. I followed him one day when he was done selling for a little while. He drove off at the time it was 2002 Bentley that he drove away in, because he just stands at the ferry terminals there in Seattle, and he takes the sympathy vote, you know, from these people that just, oh, here I'll buy candy, or they'll even just give him money and not even take the candy.
Yeah,
it's just, and I work at a gas station right on the corner of the busy intersection in Olympia, Washington, and we deal with the homeless all the time, you know, and it's just like, and I asked them, you know, it's like, why can't you guys go find a job? And they come up with their excuse, and I'm like, okay, what I'm hearing really is that you just don't want to put in the work.
You don't want
to. You just want something given to you, and that's not how life works, you know.
Well, that's how the left would see you.
Well, it works for them.
Yep.
Someday, yeah.
As a matter of fact, we just had to kick a guy out of our store the other day because he has MRSA and he's refusing to go get treatment, when the local hospitals will gladly. We have a Catholic hospital that will take in guys like him and treat him at no cost to him or the public. They have a donation. They have basically a charity fund that they keep surplus in.
Oh yeah, well, all hospitals, if they take local funding, like government type funding, they have to write off a certain amount for charitable work.
Mm-hmm. But no, this is actually donated from the various Catholic churches in the area, as well as some of the Christian churches as well. But at the same time, it's, you know, none of them have claimed to be veterans to me yet. But if they did, I have a few contacts at the VA hospital up at Madigan, as well as a few of the DAV drivers and stuff. And if I ever do see them, I just call up those people. I'm like, hey, right here at this corner, this intersection, or at this underpass on the off ramp of Highway 101, you know, whatever, there's a veteran, and they'll come pick him up, and he's like, no, I'm not a veteran. I'm just, and then they rip up his sign right then and there.
Yeah,
they don't take kindly to that.
Well, back when I lived in Copenhagen, I would on occasion help out a homeless person. I mean, I with a couple of them, I started having a relationship with them. You meet them every single day. Some of them, you just walk past them, but some of them you talk to sometimes. I have never, ever dished out just 1 kroner or $1 to paraphrase. I never did that, but what I did was, say, okay, hey, tell you what, are you hungry? Let's go to McDonald's and I'll buy you a burger or something. Some of them decline. Some of them literally have a problem with their teeth. Okay, fair enough. If I'm in uniform, I usually have on my left thigh pocket, I have a one of these packages from the Danish MREs of porridge, I guess you would call it, apple porridge or whatever. And I would give that to him. That he was so happy to get that because he can't eat food. I mean, normal food. That helps. But when you get somebody who says, "Nah, that's okay. I don't need that. I don't need any food, just money." Yeah, that does annoy me somewhat. I mean, that really.
Yeah, that's a dead giveaway.
Yeah, it is. But another thing I don't understand is what you guys talked about. Someone having MSRP. Sorry. why doesn't the United States just start implementing universal health care?
Too much money in the insurance business.
Universal health care
that much money.
Universal health care is it's a failure for us because our doctors get paid so much. So you can't pay them. Who would pay the doctors? Who would want to be a doctor if because the government's not going to say, okay, well, let's go ahead and pay you $250,000 of the year for your expertise. For a low expertise doctor, the ones that have specialties get paid over $1 million to $10 million a year. How do you tell them that they have to make less money so that other people can be healthy?
Okay, it sounds like I'm completely ignorant on this point. Are you saying that there are no government-run hospitals at all?
No. We do have them. We do have them. But so like here in Dallas County, we have a Dallas County hospital. So let's say you're indigent and you don't have the ability to pay for healthcare, for specialty healthcare. But you come into the hospital and you have MRSA. They have a obligation to treat you. Okay, so they'll treat you, but they're going to treat you with what's considered a minimum treatment. Now, the minimum treatment doesn't mean that you don't have a likely chance of getting past the disease. But what it does mean is that if you want to ensure that you're going to get past the disease, if you want to go to a doctor who's more qualified to take care of this problem, well, you're going to be responsible for that. We don't have I don't know how the universal healthcare countries are run, but I don't know if they have like specialty doctors or not. But our specialty doctors go to school for like 12 years to get and it costs a lot of money for them, like $200,000 to $500,000, depending on what school they go to and how long they end up going to school. Now they've got to pay that money back, and it's in America with the capitalists, it is a trade for services type thing. Like if you want to trade for services, you better have a service you can trade or money that you can substitute for that service that you don't have. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is.
Well, and that's part of the problem is the post-secondary school, so your college type of education in the U.S. is a for-profit institution right now, which I don't entirely agree with. Yes, I do recognize that in order to have a proper staff, proper library, all the things that you need for a proper education, there is a funding requirement, but it's the for-profit side of it, to me, that is a disingenuous venture when it comes to education and healthcare.
Let me ask you a question, Jared, okay? It's along what you're talking about now. Let's say you have a child that's 18 years old. I do, okay? I have a child that's 18 years old. And let's say in your system, you have all these different people who are qualified, some more qualified than others, okay? So they're all going to be teachers. Now, the ones who are more qualified, do you think they're going to want to go teach at places that give away free education? Because obviously the people paying are not coming. The people attending are not coming, not paying to get what the education. So what's going to end up happening is you will have a hierarchy that forms. The lower education teachers will teach at the free schools. The higher education teachers will end up teaching at private schools, and you're still going to have to pay to send your students to go to those schools, and it's going to cost you more.
Which is the very core of the problem with the American system of both education, I guess, and also healthcare. It's almost as hard to change as the U.S. Constitution or the amendments.
Yeah. Now, see, I will disagree and say it promotes people's drive. It promotes people to try to be better than the next person. If you know that college is not going to be free and that college is going to be limited to the people who earn that, then it should, if you're a normal person, it should drive you to be better than the next person.
Oh yeah, but what I mean is that to get things to change, I mean, I have a very hard time just fathoming. That's a bad word. I'm having a very hard time understanding how this is actually possible. I mean, because I grew up in Denmark. We have universal health care. We have free education, and I mean absolutely free education, completely free education. there may be some fringe, courses maybe. But still,
how would you describe your economic structure?
Well, if we take everything into account, when we buy stuff in Denmark, except for a few things, there's a sales tax of 25%, without question. I mean, that's the standard. 25%. That's the VAT you would call the
variable.
It's just a goods tax, I guess.
Right. They have the same thing in the UK.
A federal sales tax.
Alan?
Yeah, it's a national sales tax.
Okay.
It's 20% here in the UK, and as Bo says, 25 in Denmark.
Yeah, and I mean, things that they are talking about having healthy foods, for example, vegetables, having the sales tax reduced for that, but I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Anyway, you have that 25% sales tax, and then you've got the income tax. Now, if I just the mean percentage of income tax for people, with everything included, there's different kinds of taxes, but church tax, we do not have church-state separation, sadly, but that's a whole other ball game. It's on average, there is a 50% for some, slightly lower, but a 50% income tax. The more you earn, the higher the percentage you pay in taxes. So if you are in the lowest income tax group, I guess they call it that, you have the lowest income tax, but it's around 50%. What we get back for it is, in terms of healthcare, it is absolutely for free. Everything is for free, unless, for example, if you want some cosmetics done, for example. If you've lost a lot of weight and you have this flabby skin around your abdomen area and you want it removed, well, that's cosmetic that you have to pay for, or you want to make you have to, if you want to get bigger boobs, for example, you have to pay for that as well.
It's elective, not critical care.
That's what I'm looking for.
Should be required.
Yeah. Yeah. And in terms of medicine, I mean meds, we have this system that I can't remember the ranges. I should have a receipt somewhere. In terms of prescription drugs, doesn't matter what kind it is, but prescription drugs in general. If you buy prescription drugs at a standard cost of, I think it's less than 1,500 kroners, you pay 100% of it yourself. And then from come on, from that. No, I'm just messing around with my my microport here. And then the next range, from that 1,500 something to, and I'm not sure still, 2,000 or 2,500 kroners. You get a certain percentage. If you get you get around to 3,900, I think it is, and this is over the course of a year, you get 85%. If you have a chronic issue that you need, that you get your meds for, you can apply for 100% coverage. And if you get that, and I have that, by the way, I only pay a maximum of 3,500 kroners per year in total, regardless of how much medication I get. In fact, last year here, I had meds for about, what was it, 36,000 kroners in total, I think it was. So that's a pretty good deal there.
Would you say you pay more in your 25% sales tax throughout the year than you do at the end of the year with your federal tax?
There is no federal tax. I don't even know what that is.
I'm sorry. I might have. Yeah, the income tax at the end of the year. Like you'll pay this one once a year. One you pay every time you go to the register, and one you pay once a year. You don't have taxes you pay once a year?
No, we don't pay once a year. Oh yeah, by the way, I've seen just, from on TV and so on, Americans having this issue with doing their own taxes every year, doing that stuff. We don't have.
Well, he didn't mean once a year. You pay your taxes, your income tax once a year. Taxes are deducted from your payroll here. It's just like once a year you file your taxes. If you paid more than required, then you get a refund. Otherwise, you owe money to the government.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Bo. If you get paid $3,000 a month, okay, if you sign a job and it's $36,000 a year, if you at the end of the month, how much money have you received? Is it $3,000 or $3,000 minus a portion that goes to the government?
Okay, math is not my thing. We get. I mean, our tax. I mean, we never. I never. Back when I was when I actually had and was able to carry a job, I would never see the money from my employer. Never. But when and I don't know how exactly, but the state takes the percentages that they need, or what they're supposed to take after the employer puts it in, and before I get it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but if you were getting paid $3,000, what would be your take-home pay after the government gets its cut?
Oh, just take about 50% out of it.
Jesus, see that, and okay, so that is the reason why we don't have free healthcare right there, because we would end up paying 25% at the register and giving up 50% of our take home.
I'm really surprised that you now react to it. I did earlier say that our income tax was around 50%.
Oh, yeah, I thought
you said 50% for the highest pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no! That's not no. That will.
No, he was saying 50% for the mean. Some are higher, some are lower, depending on the income.
Yeah. The average tax percentage is around 50.
Okay. Yeah, and that's
I
why
think the lowest.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. But the lowest I think is 39.
Oh wow.
So without the extra taxes, the church tax and whatever else is there.
So
how much is church tax, by the way?
Oh, I'm not really sure. Between 10 and 14, maybe. I don't really know. But the thing is that the good thing is here that if you are, I grew up in the Salvation Army. My whole family is Salvation Army officers, and all of them except for except for one, and my retired parents were pastors. But the Salvation Army in Denmark is what do you call that? Affiliated with the and again I don't know what it's called, a free church. The Baptist church, I think, is the equivalent. That means that we're still a member of the official church of Denmark. I think it's either Protestant or Catholic. I don't really know. Don't really care. But the thing is, if you don't want to, you don't have to be a member of the church. So if you but if you were born into it, you pay that church tax. But all you have to do is just what do you call that? Cancel your church membership, and you don't have to pay that tax anymore.
Huh.
So that's at least a good thing. But that also means that if you happen to die at some point, your family has to pay more
funeral
to get
expenses,
funerals, and so on and so on. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting, so the federal income tax rate, the average U.S. citizen, so there is a wide range with just the way our tax structure is set up, but just basic income tax, the average citizen has an effective tax rate of 24%.
Yeah, you live your life well compared to Denmark in that term, but you have to remember. Yes, we have an obscenely high tax percentage when you compare it to the U.S. taxes, but we also get higher pay. So it what do you call it?
Balances out.
It kind of balances out. Although I was very surprised back in 2006 when I was in Ohio for a ham bench, ham radio thing. Everything in our minds was dirt cheap. We couldn't help laughing every single time we heard an American whine and cry about the gas prices.
That was actually going to be my next question. Is I was going to say let's try to find a common ground on a product that we both purchase, and let's compare the price.
Yeah. There is one standard.
I have never in my entire life thought of like whining about gas prices to a foreigner.
Oh no! The only ones I know of who come close is Southern California gets close.
Yeah.
Oh, when I was in the. Go ahead, my bad.
Yeah. In terms of trying, because it's practically impossible because of different tax structures, different income structures, and blah blah blah. What I'm used to seeing is that if you want to compare living costs, income, and blah blah blah, all that stuff between countries, you take McDonald's Big Mac menus. McDonald's is everywhere, practically every single country in the world. That's the way it's usually done. And as I recall, a standard Big Mac menu in Denmark, with nothing extra, just standard Big Mac menu, is about 69 or 70 kroners. Let me do this thing. I have the calculator here. So let's just say 70 kroners. That's $11.06. For a comparison.
It's called the Big Mac Index. Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah, that's right.
One question I have: how much extra are you paying for all your family's health insurance each month?
What do you mean
you're not paying
insurance?
In tax?
What do you mean health insurance? We don't need it.
Well, no, sorry, but I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to the Americans.
Oh sorry. Yeah.
So
I just forgot about the Americans for a while there. Sorry.
So the interesting bit here is we have multiple methodologies that you can do. So I'm not sure how many of the other Yanks here with me do the same thing I do, but so I participate in what's called an HSA, health savings account. So the way it works is I pay a slightly lower premium, but I also take money out of my check pre-tax and put into a savings account dedicated for medical expenses. Now, there is a max amount that I can put in pre-tax into that account, but also because of the way my insurance plan is structured, I also have a out-of-pocket limit for the year. So for me on the insurance, I'm putting in almost $7,000 into the HSA, plus I pay another $300 a month on top of that in premiums to cover myself and my family. But once the total out-of-pocket expense hits, what is it, $5,000 between a family of people, which my last back procedure got 50% of that. Once I hit that $5,000 out-of-pocket limit, I pay nothing out-of-pocket after that.
Mine's similar, except my limit's $2,500. So I don't have any family under it. My wife and I have separate plans. So
If I was doing just me, my out-of-pocket limit would be between $2,500 and $3,000 with my insurance company on the same type of plan. But
I'm retired Navy, so I get TRICARE for life, but at the deductibles plus
Oh, dude, you're roboting there.
Oh, you broke up a little bit there, Chew.
In short, it gets complicated in the U.S. because you could be getting, you have the state exchanges you can be getting health and plans from. You have basically employer bundled plans. You might be getting to your employer.
And you have your lawyer doing some of the work sometimes.
Well, sometimes you need them to read it for you, but I got really good with understanding how to read through the plans and everything, because I went from one structure with one company, and then when I started working with the company I'm with now, it was before I got married, so I got to know that plan pretty well. But then my now wife and I took a lot of time reading through the options before making the choice that we ended up doing, because ultimately we are saving money out of pocket by going this way. We are getting the most benefit. Because the way it works is my total out of pocket is $300 over the course of a year is $3,600. So we're talking $9,000 out of pocket total. Plus we keep the HSA going throughout, even once we. Because the funds I put in there don't disappear. That's another thing. A lot of people confuse the health savings account with a flex savings account, which is again pre-tax dollars you put in. But on the FSA, the flex spending account, that money, the majority of it is use or lose. You have to use it in that calendar year, or anything over the rollover amount, you lose.
I can only tell people to steer away from FSAs. So.
Yeah, I used to work for because of all my customer service experience, I used to work for the Federal Employee Health Benefits Plan for the Blue Cross Blue Shield. So I'm very familiar with the way the health insurances work. Like I currently pay $21 a week for me and my wife because I'm a union, low retail. I have a better deal. But the federal employee program is crazy when people, because that's what kind of struck off the whole Obamacare debate, is people were wanting to have the same benefits as the federal employees and what they pay. I'm trying to pull up their benefit plan right now. Give me just a second here. So
man, you guys really waste so much of your free time on that crap. Imagine imagine living somewhere where you don't have to worry all that much about it. I mean, you don't have to take all that time to go through that nightmare of many different choices. I mean, the only good thing is
which one of these 100 plans is the best for me?
Yeah, I mean,
I do agree with you.
Companies use it as a incentive, I guess, to headhunt potential employees that they want. That's about the only good thing I see. The work and this stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous to me.
My monthly premiums on the plan too, by the way, are about $90 a month is the premium.
Do you also have the problem with when you want to cash in because you get in trouble, so to speak, and you really need to actually use it? Do you then have to fight to get it?
Oh
no. Yeah. That's what it's there for. You pay the deductible, and you get what you. That's what the purpose of paying up front is that eventually, at some point, they're going to cover you. Now they're making a gamble on you that you're not going to cost more than what you're putting in, because there are people like myself. I don't ever go to the doctor. I haven't been to the doctor in, like, for anything other than just a routine checkup. It's been probably 4 or 5 years. So if I was paying medical insurance and all that time, I'd be paying really for somebody else to get sick.
Another thing too, because like I mentioned, like I have the $2,500 copay. Well, I don't even actually have a copay on any preventative care. So nothing like my yearly physicals and stuff like that. No money comes out of pocket for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same on mine. Preventative routine care is covered. The incidentals, there's a negotiated rate between my insurance company and the provider. So it's like the provider will bill a certain amount, but on the first bit, I'm paying like 80% of it. But then once I hit one tier, it then switches to where I'm only paying 20% of it. And then once I hit my out-of-pocket limit, my insurance picks up the entirety of it.
Okay. Hey, Jared, do you mind sharing my screen for a second? Because I got the Federal Employee Blue Cross Plan premiums here just to kind of show what it is.
1 second. Let me go ahead and get it so the live stream can see.
Yep.
Boom. And all set. There you go.
Okay. So this, when I was working for them, they didn't have this self plus one option that they have here for these two plans. But it was being talked about when I was just before I got terminated. But if you look at these are the premium shares biweekly and monthly here. Like the standard option self only, you'd be paying about $250 a month for your premium. But the standard option, you have a deductible and you can go to see any doctor you want, no matter whether they're in network or not. And the Blue Cross Blue Shield plan is actually nationwide. It covers you in every state.
Yeah.
Whereas most non-government contracts or non-government insurances don't offer that. If you get sick out of state, like while you're on vacation, you can be screwed over really bad through our plan. But if you look at the basic option here, it's $160 a month for self only, and that's just so you can go see a preferred provider in your network. If you have to go outside of the network, you're screwed there too. I mean, you have to weigh and balance your thing. You balance your options there.
I see it says government share. Is that because it's a government-run insurance, or
yeah, it's set up for any federal government employee that meets the requirements for qualifying for the benefits. I actually
fair enough.
3 months I tried
employed by the government. Okay, that's
I worked for the U.S. Postal Service for about 3 months. I was doing rural route carriers, the people that work out in the middle of nowhere delivering mail. Realized that it did not stimulate my mind enough for me to keep doing that job, so I quit.
No.
But you see here that if I had made a regular carrier in a rural route, this is what I would have been paying for under the postal premium biweekly out of my paychecks. That's a lot cheaper because that's actually a union position. So,
but hey, if you want an easy job, I've heard that being an employee at car rental places, where you're hired to shunt rental cars from airports to airport, for example. Mm-hmm. I've heard that's a very easy and fun job, and you get you get free trips basically.
Yeah. Not my cup of tea. While I do love driving, the problem is I want satellite radio, and they're not going to spring for that when I'm driving.
Yeah, another strange thing, satellite radio. OnStar, I guess. But yeah.
How does that work on a flat Earth, guys?
Yeah. Well, they just point the antennas at the dome, Haven't you ever heard of NVIS? That's what it is. That's why NVIS works, man.
Well, I will agree with you though, Bo. The wording that they put into our legal documents, they really need to step away from trying to be so technical with things, and they have to be, because then people find loopholes when they're not. But there needs to be some way of breaking it down for the layman without confusing him and saying, oh, well, you thought this, and really what we meant was this, when the reason why those legal documents are so big, they didn't start out that way. They started out real small, and then people started finding loopholes, and they say, okay, well, let's go amend this to add this, and let's go amend this to add that.
Yep.
And that eventually it's fucking 250 pages long. But if you go in there, you can find something that specifically talks about your problems or your case.
Yeah. Well, 30, maybe 40 years ago in Denmark, the Danish parliament, as such, the politicians, they actually started looking at the different laws that we have, different types of law, just looking at every single type of law we have in Denmark, and just said, okay, these laws are meant for the average private citizen. They should be able to understand what the hell this thing means. This tax law thing, well, it doesn't really have to be that it's okay for that one to be worded in a technical jargon that lawyers understand. And for example, the penal code, I guess you could translate it to that, regarding you can't steal this, you can't hit that guy, that kind of stuff. The Danish version of that is actually written in a language that anyone can understand.
Yeah.
It's in plain text. But the problem here is that this gives lawyers an opportunity to bend it to their liking, more or less. They try, at least. It doesn't really work because in Denmark we have this funny little thing called logic. For example, if this has been a myth, urban myth, around the world for many, many, many years. Some time ago, I read about it actually being true to some extent, where a grandmother got a microwave as a present, and she used to use her stove, electrical or gas. It doesn't matter, and she used the lowest possible setting to dry her pet dog or cat or whatever.
Oh God!
You get this grandmother a microwave, and she tries to dry her pet in the microwave, and if it's not stated specifically, if it's not stated in the manual that you shouldn't put your pets into the microwave and turn it on.
Right.
In the U.S., literally, as I understand it anyway, if it doesn't say that, it's very, very easy to sue. Even if you get the cheapest lawyer you can, that lawyer will still be able to say, hey, it wasn't stated in the manual, so no. And you would win. In Denmark, you would be if you tried that, you would be laughed out of the.
Well, that example. That example doesn't. I don't think that would really hold true in America. They have different ways of keeping people from making truly asinine,
frivolous lawsuits.
Yeah. But now here's the other side to that. Let's say the grandmother goes, yeah, I'm going to sue them then. And the courts already know they're not going to award this lady any money. The lady knows she's not going to be awarded any money. The other company already, they know that they're not going to be out of pocket any money as far as, the lawsuit's concerned. But what they are going to be out of pocket is the money for their lawyers. So if you don't say, okay, fuck it, we're not going to send any lawyers, well, yeah, she'll win. So you got to send lawyers. So because you have to send lawyers, that's going to cost you a certain amount of money. So what they'll do is contact them and go, look, put this bullshit claim aside, fuck all that, and here's $100,000 to save us from spending $250,000 on our lawyers.
Yeah, and that's, by the way, that's another thing that we get for free in Denmark. If I do something stupid, I mean, back when I was not a kid, I mean, you have to be 18 or above to get a driver's license. We're messing with it now to lower it, but still, couple of years after I got my driver's license.
Don't.
Don't. Yeah.
Definitely don't.
Yeah, I know. But
I
actually,
just had to
Denmark,
reattach a hose and nozzle today on one of our gas pumps and this person was like 40 something, so I really don't know what it was other than just being distracted or in a hurry.
And remember, the dogs are coming from a country that lets people drive when they're 16. So.
Yeah.
It's always fun to see an American try to drive an average car you would see in Europe, basically. Most of us still have stick shift.
Oh, see, that's not the problem. It's driving on the wrong side of the road that's a mind fuck.
No. That's what they do in England.
Yeah, it's
Well,
only
like
us
you
that
said,
drive on the other side of the road.
as well.
In
So
Europe,
you guys are normal?
Sorry, yeah. The Danes are normal in that regard. Most of Europe is.
it's continental Europe all drive on the same side as you do in America. It's us Brits. It's us Brits in Europe that drive on the
Wrong.
The
wrong side.
Wrong side, yeah.
along with along of course with most of Africa.
Well, no, they
India,
drive on the right side.
Australia,
That sounds
Japan.
about right though.
Japan.
Australia, Africa, and England. Yeah, we can group all of y'all together.
Hong Kong. Drive on
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Hong
that's
Kong.
one of my Japan
China-
stories.
Well, and here's the
China?
thing. When I lived in Japan, I actually got the license to be able to drive over there. The actual status of forces agreement license, and the most
What now?
SOFA, status of forces agreement. The reason why the U.S. military is there. So we don't, being an active military member of the U.S. in Japan, there is a special stipulation and setup for us to be allowed to drive on their roads in Japan. We have to learn their rules of the road, but we don't have to go through the same lengthy process that they do. Like, they start when they're 16, but they are not a full-fledged driver until they are 25.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it's like, what, $5,000 for a driver's license there?
Damn.
Oh, at least. At least.
Yeah.
But so the most hilarious thing that I remember from going through the process was the practical test, which we had to provide the car for, and then you drive with the instructor and evaluator in the front passenger seat next to you, and you drive around some of the roads on base to show competency in staying on the proper side of the road and operating the vehicle. But the entire time, he's sitting there next to you saying, stay reft, stay reft, stay reft.
Yeah. Left or right? Come on.
Well, they have a hard time with the letter L, especially when in the sentence they are using the hard R. They can do the syllables individually, but if they have to too closely put them together, it is insanely difficult for them.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, almost to the point of comedy.
They don't have those sounds in Japanese. I studied Japanese at university.
They have the R, not the L.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My first name really my name really screws them up. They don't have the L. They don't really have the V either. So in Japanese, my name becomes Aran Ibans.
Yep.
I'll run E-bands.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
But
the first time I was in Japan, my first sub, we pulled in to Yokosuka, and like 2 hours later, one of our guys was crossing, looked to his
Yeah.
I think you need to reconnect there, too.
I didn't drop out. I said, he started to cross the road and looked to the left. Walked into the road.
He looked the wrong way.
got smacked by a bus.
Ow.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. Jared, you need to ask Halsa this next time you talk to him. In Norway, I'm not sure if it's still the case, but at some point they at least some parts of Norway, they drove on the left side, but other parts of Norway they drove on the right side. Many. When I was a young kid, we went to I can't remember the Lillehammer, Oslo, I think it was. Where they had the Winter Games. At some point.
That was Lillehammer.
Yeah, and I remember my dad talking about stressing about getting to that part of road section where you switch from driving on the right side to the left side. I mean, I think it was a matter of them being, if I remember correctly, Norway has the state, basically the same kind of state, federal kind of thing going on as in the U.S., where you have local rules and regulations and laws and so on. So not all parts of Norway switched switched to driving on the right side at the same time. That must be confusing. You live all your life driving on the right side, then all of a sudden, bam!
Nope, we're going to switch.
Then you're going to you're getting shunted to the left side. That would be confusing.
Well, that's part of why in the 70s, 70s into the 80s, for the general public, it failed here in the U.S. trying to convert to the metric system.
Yeah, you should really try that again. Keep trying, actually. I know Red's Rhetoric is completely in agreement with me here.
I'd be fine. I'd be fine with metric. No?
Yeah, Imperial sucks.
That's the thing. A lot of us ex-military would have no problem with the switch. Fucking obstinate, retarded, dirty civilians. No, because it's on both sides of it. It's the dirty civilians that fuck it up for everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't get me started on those people.
Do you want to know how bad it is here? Here, everything is
industry.
metric, apart from distances when you're driving.
Really?
So everything is metric, but all the distances on road signs are still in miles.
But you still do. But you also still measure weights in some cases with rocks. Well, stone, but
stones.
Still.
No, stone. How many stones do you weigh?
Too many. about 20.
So what is the equivalent of a stone?
14
it's
pounds.
14 pounds.
Huh.
Which is more straight, which is even more weird because pounds, that's a currency.
Yeah.
Yeah, apart from when it's weight.
That would be confusing.
But
it is confusing.
Another useless trivia question. How long is a miner's inch?
Miner's inch?
How long is a miner's inch?
You would
I
think
have no idea.
No clue.
No clue.
1.2 cubic feet per minute.
What?
It's a unit of the miner's inch is a unit of volumetric flow.
Huh.
That would make sense. Well, except this stupid imperial feet thing.
Except they call it a freaking inch.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But of course, it varies by state from state. Like it's 1.2 cubic feet per minute in Colorado.
Well, but wouldn't that always depend on how on the what the material you're digging in?
Sure it would.
If it was just straight down coal, I mean, some coal would be more loose than other types of coal, right? I mean,
but it was still it still occupied the same volume.
Well, yeah,
the
but it
major
would be
mining
harder
industry. The major mining industry in Colorado is uranium. So.
Yeah, well, some people are still going for gold.
Hey guys, I gotta get going. I've been on 2 live streams now all day, and I'm fucking exhausted. But hey, I do appreciate it, Jared. I'll be back next week.
Not a problem. You're always welcome.
I'm gonna be watching. Go ahead, Bo. I'm sorry.
There's an hour and 45 until the
Movie
shit show
night.
on Side Strikes.
Oh yeah, no, I'll try to make it to that. Jared, be sure to send me a link to anything that if I'm welcome, send me a link and I'll join it whenever I can.
You're one of the ones that's welcome. It's a few others that have worn thin.
As long as you bring your own CHL approved oven mitts and bottles, that's plural, of hard liquor.
Hey, here's some trivia I'll leave you guys with. Does anybody know?
Hey, I'm the only one allowed to do trivia.
I'm gonna leave it for you then, Chew. I'm gonna allow you to be the only one that does trivia. But when you think you got me stumped and I answer the question, I'm gonna ask you one back. And I'm gonna see how fast you can answer it.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, go ahead. No, what is it? What is it?
Oh, what is it? Okay, so everybody, let's see if Chew can answer this. What is the purpose of why do you have to have a driver's license to operate a motor vehicle on a United States roadway? There's one reason why.
This sounds like an urban legend.
No, it's not. It's actually everybody here can look it up after I get done telling
so
you.
Repeat the question.
Okay, so all the roadways in America serve one purpose, and this is the reason why people outside of this purpose have to have a license to operate a motor vehicle on a public roadway.
Oh, I know why.
I'm not driving, sir. I'm just traveling.
Transportation.
Go ahead, Chew. I'll let you try first.
Chew transportation?
Nope. Go ahead, Jared. You were going to say something?
Wait,
landing aircraft. Operating aircraft.
Well, no, my thought was military transport because of the Eisenhower interstate system.
Nope, that's not it either.
I have one.
Go ahead.
And it would be the exact same in Denmark. You need to always be able to prove that you are legally allowed to drive the motor vehicle you're driving.
Close. If you look at it close, but not really. Okay, so the purpose of the road system in America was written into the Constitution as a postal service. So you have to. Everybody except postal workers are required to have a driver's license to operate a motor vehicle on any U.S. roadway. It is a postal.
Not
service.
Entirely true.
Are you falling for that Freeman of the land crap?
Well, no. It was written into the Constitution.
Huh?
So.
Well, here's the thing, though. As a former postal driver, I was required to have a license to have the job.
No. You're right. I'm saying you will have the license. That's part of your requirement to be the worker. But the roadway system in America is designed to ensure the delivery of mail to every citizen. And to operate outside, to be outside of a postal service worker or doing postal service stuff, you have to have a license to be on the road.
So to be course, it's only by grace of the U.S. Postal Service that everyone else is even allowed to use them.
Well, you can always just jump on a horse and ride across the country. You don't have to have a license for that.
No, I'm almost certain that it's not real. It's probably required by now, but technically speaking, would that mean that even if you don't have a driver's license, if you are a postal service employee driving, you're at work, you're driving the postal service vehicle, you aren't technically, you don't necessarily need a license?
Well, let me ask Jay Brown this. If you were pulled over by a police officer, have you ever been pulled over as a postal worker by a police officer? Okay, are they allowed to pull you over? I don't think they are.
Of course they would be.
They are if you are actually driving in a dangerous manner. They don't generally bother the postal drivers, even in our own private vehicles on the rural routes, because again, they can't interfere with the delivery of the mail unless there's a safety reason to the public.
Let me ask you this question too, because this was posed, if somebody asked me and I told them I had no idea. Let's say that I know a piece of mail was delivered to the wrong house. Let's say it's a 3-house thing. I'm one neighbor. My neighbor got a piece of mail for the neighbor on the other side. And I go into his mailbox, pull that mail out, and go put it in the other mailbox. Have I committed a crime?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
now,
you have. However,
Jay Brown, if you are off duty and you remember that you put a wrong letter in one mailbox, are you allowed to go and pull that mail out and put it in the right mailbox?
no, I'm still not allowed to. Once I'm done for the day and I am clocked out, I am now just at Joe Average Citizen. I can't mess with anybody else's stuff or anything like that. Even if I am wearing my badge that shows that I'm a postal employee. The thing is we are on a time crunch to deliver mail. As a matter of fact, the whole point when I was working at the post office, we have to we get basically what we call unsorted mail, like like basically second class mail, your magazines, your public or your political things, and other things.
Letters to Santa Claus.
Pretty much things that don't necessarily go through the sorting process. We have to case all of that by address, and most cases for city routes are 3, sometimes 4 cases of. I want to say they're what about 3 by 5. No. Yeah, about 3 feet by 5 feet, 3 feet high, and about 5 feet wide. And it's basically the cases line up by the actual route that you're going. So you go from top left to bottom right in each case, and you put all the mail there. Depending on what type of day it is, like usually Tuesdays you get all the ads, the grocery ads, things like that. Yeah, while most people call it junk mail, they call it UBM, UBBM. It's basically universal bulk budget mail, something like that. I forgot what the acronym is. So many acronyms flowing around in my head, anyways.
Hey, military loves acronyms, so we're fine.
So does the federal government. So
you could talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably could. But
anybody?
But on those days, we also have what's called DPS, digital process sorted mail. That's all your first class mail that's stamped and everything like that. And we would actually take on the main route that I substituted on, I could on average have 6 trays of DPS that I would have to case into each that I have to case with each mail. But the reason why we do it in that, because I don't know if your guys' postal employees do it, but you put that flyer ad in first, the night before, if they're there when you get back. Then you put all the other mail into that, so that way you just have basically a taco that you can just shove into people's mailboxes and stuff. But learning those routes, even though being a quartermaster in navigation and being able to do things, sometimes I would get lost on the routes just because they're so far out in rural that you miss one side street because the sign is literally hidden. So.
Anybody spend any time in the U.S. Northeast? There are a butt ton of roads called blah blah Post Road, Boston Post Road ran through where I lived in Connecticut.
Oh, and there's another one in Mass, and because I live in Providence, Rhode Island, so I'm in the middle of all that fuck.
So in such a rural area that the Postal Service would most of all like to have, instead of addresses, just use a MGRS grid instead.
Sort of. What is?
Hey guys, I gotta get going.
All right.
No. You don't get to.
Bye, Father.
You don't get to give us a teaser like that and just leave. You gotta tell us more about. You and Jay Brown got to talk more about the U.S. Postal Service.
Well, the restaurant is about to close in 36 minutes. So if you guys are still bullshitting, I'll probably come back. But I have to go get my tacos. Oh, and Bo, I'm sure you would love tacos if you knew what they were. They probably don't have them up there.
I've never tried them. The thing that
I told you. Oh my God, I knew it.
the one thing I got totally hooked on in the U.S. was hash browns.
Oh yeah, good hashtag.
I can't remember what the resort's name is, but in New Paris there's a resort. It always gets filled up to the brim every time that I'm not sure if it's NASCAR or Formula 500 or whatever it was is about to one of those races. They had this small diner at the end of at the front end of that road leading down to the resort. And they serve a lot of people. It's a small family place. I just completely got hooked on those hash browns. That's so.
Oh, those mom and pop joints will get you every time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I would really like to try those Pop-Tarts though, and Twinkies. But
no, you can.
I've never tried those.
You can skip those.
We can get those.
Yeah, skip the Twinkies. They're not as good as they used to be.
No, they're not. Ever since frickin'.
Oh yeah, they stopped making them, and then somebody bought the.
Yeah, the company went under.
Or something.
Hostess went under, and then they sold off the recipe to various regional bakeries.
Has anybody ever had a deep fried Twinkie?
Oh yes.
I haven't. I'm afraid to try.
That's probably good for your waistline that you haven't tried.
Schubert, I noticed something you said earlier. Have you lived for any length of time in either England or a country under British rule?
Yeah, I lived in America most of my life.
Okay, it's just I was. We have a breather on the line, I think. Joe, I just wondered, you used the term freeman of the land instead of sovereign citizen. I was surprised by that.
No, same thing.
You're American. Yeah, I know. It's just that I was surprised since you are American and you use that term instead of sovereign citizen.
Yeah, they're pretty much interchangeable.
Yeah, I know that, but I've never ever heard. I mean, it was only when what was she called? Caitlin Chloe had a chat with a Freeman on the allegedly Dave on the non-sex show. That was funny and pissy at the same time.
You just had to put it that way, didn't you?
Yeah, of course. It's not Pete, at least. But that was the first time I ever heard the term freeman of the land. I had to look it up. But I was just surprised that you used that instead of sovereign citizen. I was just surprised by it.
Yeah, they're pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Well, number one, in the U.S., we use sovereign citizen for the term, but sovereign citizens don't call themselves sovereign citizens.
No, they no. But Alan, please correct me if I'm wrong here. But if we think about a postal service, and we only think about their ability to get mail delivered, not how fast, but their ability to get mail delivered, whatever it takes. Which country has the best postal service in the world? If any of you have a suggestion.
Well, back in the good old days, when I think it was like up until 1967, the U.S. Postal Service used to deliver mail twice a day.
Yeah, but what I was thinking.
Federally funded too.
Yeah, what I'm thinking of here, and
sorry, was that Jay Brown?
I said that they also used to be federally funded too.
Well, yeah, it used to be a government service. Now it's privatized.
Yeah, and Alan, this is where you should correct me if I am completely off the rocker here. I know that it used to be this way, at least. If you in England, if you send a letter and you write it with horrible handwriting, or you only write, for example, if you know a guy that lives in a rural area where you only have maybe, I don't know, 100 houses, and you just write Matthew in X town or something, they would invest time in investigating where that should go.
Oh yeah, that happens a lot here.
Yeah, they will actually use the time. I mean, that I imagine it's a matter of honor, or quality.
Didn't Tom Scott do a video about that?
Yes, I do believe he did. Yeah, and he also I think he also showed this huge sorting robot that scans the address and prints a almost invincible to the eye barcode on the letter, which when you light it up with ultraviolet light, you can see it better. We also do that.
Oh no, it's not a barcode. It's like very, very dim yellow dots all over the page that has the printer's serial number, date, and time this thing was printed out. That's how they caught. That's how they. There was some criminal case. That's how they identified from some guy printout. It was
on the envelope. From the envelope.
No, on a piece of paper.
Oh well, I'm talking about the envelope. When it goes through the machine, it scans the address, and if it's successful, which it usually is, it converts the address into a type of barcode. It looks like a barcode, except that some of the lines are not full length, and it's only at the bottom. I imagine.
Yeah, we have the same thing here in the U.S.
Yeah, I think it's more or less the same. I mean, I do have a letter from the ARRL somewhere still. I think they use the exact same type of system. But no, they still. Is that still going strong there, Alan?
Yes. The mail system here is very good, and I live in one of those very small villages where I know my postman personally. You know, we chat, we see. I see him out. You know, he lives in the next village over, so we see him quite regularly, and we speak. So that's one of the advantages of a little village.
Oh yeah. What about time of delivery? I mean, in Denmark, it has gone to shit, to be literal, over a period of 2-5 years or something. It's really gotten bad. But what about Britain?
It's got a lot worse in towns, but where I am, we get our postal deliveries before 12 every day, 6 days a week. The only thing we don't get anymore is a Sunday delivery.
But what's the average time, though?
The average time is next day still.
Oh, but do you have your A and B and C postage? For example, if you need something rushed, you pay extra and you put an A on it, or
we have we can put a first class or a second class stamp on, which used to be next day or 2 days, but now is sort of not guaranteed at all. And then there's special delivery, which is guaranteed before 12 the next day.
Okay. But in Denmark we've got
But that's mostly and that's mostly used by people who actually need the additional insurance that goes with it.
Mm-hmm. In Denmark, in fact, it's let's see, was it? I think it was January. I think it was. It was in the media in Denmark. It was pretty bad. The hospitals all around Denmark, they've used the postal service for many years for certain types of tissue samples. No, not tissue samples. Fecal samples, urine samples, blood samples, that type of thing, minor stuff.
Medical testing.
Yeah, medical tests. Yeah, so that people, especially people that don't live anywhere near a hospital, can literally mail their shit in. Now,
I saw that movie with Mr. Bean.
Oh yeah, Rowan Atkinson, shitty. He's funny as hell. But no, they had this problem with back before the Danish Postal Service went to hell. after signing a contract with the Norwegian and Swedish postal service, I think it was, there was no problem. But now they're in. I think it was in January where they had some huge issues. First of all, they had the problem of the mail not getting there in time. And I mean, it's not cooled or anything. It's just mail. There's no cooling. I mean, there's no temperature control for these samples. But in terms of the environment in Denmark, that's not a problem. We're a somewhat cold country, so that's not exactly the problem. The problem is that it just takes too damn long. Even if it's a priority, it could still sometimes take up to a week for it to arrive. We're not talking about. No, we're not talking about large distances here. I think if you're in the northwest of Denmark, if you look at Denmark, you see a face, so to speak, the landmass. That's a face, yeah. The northern part of that, if you go from there drive from there to Copenhagen, it would be 300, maybe 400 kilometers. I'm just guessing here. We're talking about small distances here, but even though priority mail, they still fuck it up. And the worst part is too that test results from the hospitals get sorted and packaged by the postal service. It's an extra service that the hospitals pay for, so that the postal service, they sort it out and all that, prints out the letters.
They do the admin stuff.
Yeah, some of it. Yeah, even the personal data stuff. You can see their social security number and all that. So that they're especially verified people who do this. But they would also, during this problem, they would also mess up some of some test results going to people. And even if it's you could even get the correct name, but the wrong, what do you call it? Mail.
The wrong individual.
You have two lists: an address list and a result letter list that has to merge in a computer program. That's that letter merging. I don't know what it's called. But
what you're saying is, if the zombie apocalypse starts, it will start in Denmark.
In those terms, yes. This is where I'm sorry to say that Denmark does not have any volunteer emergency communications system at all. You have in the U.S., you've got filled up with hams and Boy Scouts, scouts. But we don't. We don't. Sorry.
No, we don't.
No, not Boy Scouts. That was wrong of me to say. But you have the ham radio guys with Saturn and volunteer ham radio guys volunteering for communications for either police or fire department or transferring medical files from one hospital to another over to the air. In Denmark, we don't have those kind of issues, so we don't have that kind of volunteering work. So if Denmark experienced an apocalypse, we would be fucked. That would be very bad. So, yeah.
What's the system in the U.S. called?
Emergency communication stuff?
I don't think we have that from
in terms of
radio operators.
Well, yeah, you do. There's the Salvation. I can't remember the acronym. There's the Salvation Army. It's called Saturn. SATERN.
Okay.
Salvation Army. I can't remember exactly, but if you go to the ARRL.org, you'll probably be able to find it easily. But there is a system in place.
Emergency notification system in the U.S. that 5 people know about.
Well, no, I'd say it's more than 5, but no, I think it's more there's a volunteer group of ham radio operators who augment the emergency broadcast system.
Well, actually, it's more of a
what's their
assistance
URL?
to the. Sorry.
What's their URL, Jared?
Oh, arrl.org.
Okay.
There's probably outliers, but basically, when the shit hits the fan in the U.S., the hams get a call from the local sheriff or however they're activated. They usually help not the public directly necessarily, but they mainly help law enforcement, fire, EMS, hospitals, and so on with communication, and also coordinating searches for people who are lost. In fact, there's a system called APRS. If any of you have heard about it before. It's a system that was developed by a ham operator called Bob Bruningen, and he was actually the guy who developed the first, what do you call that? Digital battle space battle management system for the DoD. It's not obviously not now. It's not used by the Department of Defense anymore. But he was allowed to change it and use it for ham radio. And in fact, if you go to aprs.fi, that's a Finnish website, you can actually see a map and you can see active ham radio operators. You can use this for a lot of stuff. You can use it just for having fun, but also it's very next time in your local area, next time you have a hurricane or a tornado or some big event where everything shuts down, all the communication and power and so on, go to that website and plug in your address or just go to the geolocation button. And you will actually see ham radio operators using the system to tell people where they are, but they can also, for example, have spotters in the air using a helicopter, and they can, with a handheld radio or a laptop connected to, or an iPad connected to the internet somehow, they can transmit that they can fly reconnaissance, and they can spot somebody sitting on their roof in a flood, for example. And they can plot it in on the map and just put a pin in the map and say, here's someone who needs rescuing. And the NCS, the Net Control Station, sees this, and they either delegate this task to someone or they ask for available people to handle this, and then they can just what do you call that? Acknowledge and put another pin next to it and say, we got this underway, and they use this for reporting. It's often used, actually. And let's see, we can just do this, and yeah, that one. Let's see. I have to get my brain working again here. I've got too many browser windows open. Where are you guys? Damn it. And I'm even using
about 50.
Yeah, and I'm even using two screens. That's a stupid part. I'm not good at organizing my my browser windows. Where the hell did you guys go? This is fucking stupid. Damn it. Okay, I need to find you guys, but I'm going to share my my screen so you can see this shit. Once I find the damn thing. There you go. Yeah, I am a blind asshole. All right. Okay. Just do this and screen share, present now. window, and where are you guys? There you go. Okay, Jared, present my thing here, if you would, please.
You are presenting to everyone, and boo! Now the public can see it better.
Thank you, sir. Now, as I said earlier, this is I don't know if the image is large enough, but the address up here is aprs.fi. If you enter that, you don't have to be a ham to use this, but if you enter this that address there, you get a map. You can plug in your personal address here, for example, or just a city. I could write, oh well, why not? Let's see if it'll find that thing. Oh yeah, Los Angeles actually exists. Okay, cool. Let's see, if we go somewhere, let's say here.
Can you zoom in on Riverside, California?
Yeah, sure. Maybe this way. If I wrote that correctly. Yep, we did. Let's see if there's anyone there. Wow. Yeah, that's busy. Not a whole lot going on there. Here we go. Now, for example, over here we've got something that looks like a house. Now, that's just simply just a guy that has a, let's see, yeah, that's an internet connected computer. And he also has a what would you call that? A hotspot, a micro repeater in his home as well. That's not important here. He's connected to the internet. If he gets a phone call to go, search for someone, he gets in his car, and he turns on his radio beacon in his car, and he drives around. You can see him driving around. He can receive and write messages using this beaconing system. And he goes to, let's see, he goes over to this place right here, which is a repeater location, and he needs to repair it. He can, write the message. Okay, I got it. I'm there. I need so and so, so much time to fix this, and just put it in basic form. This is a message system. It's a mail. You can literally write emails using this system. I have a Kenwood radio myself, a Kenwood TM-D700 or 700D. I can never remember. It's the exact same model that the International Space Station had before they upgraded to the latest 710 model. But that's the official backup radio for communications on the space station. You can literally write emails from that thing, and they use, for example, either an internet connection or a radio that goes to for example, the guy in his house we saw earlier, who has a small repeater, a hotspot repeater on his, even if it's just on his desktop, you can use it to send messages. And in fact, this is a worldwide system. The US uses one frequency, I can't remember what it is, but most, if not all of Europe uses, United States uses 144.97 megahertz. And they use AX25, that's the modulation. Some of you probably does know what that is. I hope.
Some of us remember our basic radio communications.
Yeah. In Denmark, we use 144.8, but it doesn't matter though. But they use this system to for communication, for location, and so on. As you see here, for example, there's something called WX. That's a weather station. Some guy who just.
I Oh, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. It's either some guy who just bought a generic weather station, or one of the better ones, doesn't really matter, and he, cobbled up something, made his own bird's nest of a circuit board, and connected it to a radio, or he bought a more commercial weather station that has the telemetry capability. So you can get, and in fact, I know that I'm not sure I should call them weather companies, but the weather forecasts agencies and companies around the world use these ham radio operator weather stations all over the world to get local weather. And
they use the data to help put into their system to further enhance the accuracy of their model and predictions. I mean, look at how many weather stations are just in that area alone when you zoomed out. It's a great collection of data, and with how critical and how quickly things can change in that part of California, it's an invaluable tool to the meteorologists. Yeah, and I know this is in metric, but there's a car here. You can see his I don't know why it's not updating the map, so you don't see this thick line here, but you can see his track. I can lengthen or shorten his track here. But basically, you can see where he's been and so on. You can see the speed. All these, there's a blue line here. There's a green one there, purple one there. That's just to differentiate between different vehicles. The colors in this case doesn't have any specific function other than to differentiate. And every time I touch one of those waypoints spots there, you can see the lines going out all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. That's because this vehicle uses a radio in his car that has a modem, and so on and so on. And he transmits his location, and it gets, still not out far enough. His location, his signal gets picked up by the one you see on the left there, and that is a digipeater. It's not a repeater; it's a digipeater. It only serves as it listens for signals. When it has enough signals, if it hasn't heard anyone else repeat the signals it has in its memory, it will transmit all the beacons that it received. If it heard some other station repeat 2 or 3 of the beacons that it has in memory, it'll just parse. It'll just sort them out and then send them. It'll actually do an information filter. That is pretty nifty.
Yeah. And you can see that the line then goes to the left down to this square eye thing. An eye, that's just an eye gate. That means it's some type of radio with an internet connection. And it just loads in. And this is a completely voluntary, free system to use. All you need is the gear, of course, and a license. And sometimes you can touch this guy, for example. Now, the icon might just give it away. This guy uses his cell phone. He's using this that app on his Android in this case, via the internet. So even in an area if you're in an area that does not have any nearby radio towers, receivers, you can do it by cell phone. So, but you could, during these, for example, in Tornado Alley, I don't know when that season is, but next time it's there, or next time you see a tornado warning somewhere, go use this website, and to localize it even better. If you just write EN for English, and then .aprs .fi, you can use this to get live data in terms of weather and also spotted tornadoes, for example. I mean, I know that, I don't know if all of them, but many of the what do you call them, storm chasers, also have also use APRS. Yeah. Sometimes they also use the system to insert icons for tornadoes and their direction, and sometimes they plot them in, and then they ask a net control station that listens in either by text or voice to take over that specific icon to keep it alive and keep it updated, and to send it to NOAA, for example. But there's a whole lot of stuff in this area. I mean, this is one of the most usable ham radio parts of our hobby that's literally saves lives at every natural disaster or whatever. I mean, everywhere in the world, if there's a natural disaster of any kind, you will see ham radio operators use this system, amongst others, to organize things in a relationship with the authorities.
And in that area there, I mean, it's sparse compared to that part of California you were just looking at before.
I just put a link in for Tulsa, Oklahoma from here. It looks pretty interesting when you zoom out pretty far.
Mm-hmm. The problem I have here is that I live in this town here. Even though it's Denmark's 9th largest town, it doesn't really say all that much. But I don't know, I can't do it on this map here, but this is a huge gorge that was formed during the latest, it will not be the last, ice age. So this is a canyon practically. Mm. In fact, here from here at sea level to the top of this hill, it's about 70 meters, I think. So there's very bad radio coverage here. There is a small repeater, but it doesn't get very far.
Well, no, terrain and topology really affected a lot more than some people realize.
Yeah, and since Denmark is such a small country, we can't really use NVIS all that much. Can I remember the acronym? Probably not. Near vertical incidence skywave. I think that's it, yeah. Where you instead of having a vertical antenna, you have a horizontal antenna at a specific height above the ground, where you also put in some stakes and put a reflector on those stakes, again at a certain distance to the radiating. Now you can that's the way it's also used in the army as well still, I think. Certainly back in Vietnam and Korea. But because of the frequency hop, you would skip most of Denmark if you tried to use it. So I mean, even that system wouldn't work all that well in here in Vejle. I would have to use satellites going over, but since this country is so far north of the equator, we don't see all that many satellites. Although I did catch the ISS a couple of years ago, got a contact with those guys, but that was nice. Pure luck. Pure luck.
Well, yeah, because you only have a few-minute window to do it in.
Mm-hmm. But it was with a handheld, so-called Arrow antenna. That's a brand name. Nice. A crossband Yagi antenna with 3 elements VHF, and I think it's either 7 or 8 elements UHF antenna. 90 degrees from each other. That was handheld, and then my Kenwood radio going at, I think it was 25 watts.
Oh wow, that is pretty impressive.
If you're in the the southern part of the U.S., you could easily just use a handheld radio, just with a long antenna attached to it. Nothing special, just a long antenna attached to the radio itself, and use that to talk to satellites, but also the ISS. Yeah, even down to just using half a watt. It's actually possible with only half of a watt on VHF.
Oh wow. Well, yeah, because where the relative orientation will matter. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, here is this is Copenhagen. We also have some people also like to plug in. I think in this case somebody wrote a script and just do it via the internet, but it's also easy to do via radio as well. Collecting AIS information, for boats and so on. So these are just normal people. I mean, some of them are companies, just standard, just standard company boats or tankers or whatever. Some of them are private yachts. Even though they don't have any ham radio gear on them, they still have that AIS system, location system, and that gets, in this case, parsed into the amateur radio world as well. So that means if I have a radio capable of this APRS system and nothing else, no internet connection of any kind, I could still find out exactly where a certain ship is within range. Even though I'm only still using ham radio frequencies, I don't need to use the marine AIS.
Yeah, you can see ships on AIS on a website called marinetraffic.com.
Yep, I use that as well. I use that every time that I get a notification from Marine. I think it's Marine Traffic. Every time the Copenhagen suborbitals move their rocket launch platform around. If you guys don't know, if you search for Copenhagen space suborbitals, you'll find out who I'm talking about. They have. Sorry?
Oh no, I was just reading when you were zoomed in there. On the map, it even had the art museum. It's like.
Oh yeah, that's probably a standard Google, because of the standard. Let's see, yeah, standard Google API thing.
Yeah,
I think. So that's not ham radio related. That part.
Oh no, that's why I kind of laughed. It was like, Google catering to the nerds.
That's that Peter Shaw who built the Ark on a steel barge or something like that.
What? No, I think you're talking about a Dutch. That was Dutch, I think. Yeah, red just means a lot. Just means a lot of
high density
traffic. Yeah, high density traffic. Not. Yeah, I can set it to either static or only get it to react on moving targets. But just wanted to zoom out and go to the stage here. But no, it's actually quite not. Yeah, you shouldn't have fun on behalf of somebody who's in mortal danger. But I have had fun using this system to, when you have tornadoes or whatever going on in the States, for example, just get this website going, and at the same time start up my Echolink node. Echolink is just it's some repeaters have an internet connection, which means that if you have a handheld radio and you're within range of a internet connected repeater, you can use that repeater to call somebody else somewhere else on Earth. For example, you have a friend in Australia, and he's a ham. He also has Echolink, and he's near a Echolink enabled repeater. I can use my number keypad on my handheld and connect to them that way through radios as well. I would use that system to connect to the local repeaters in that specific area where where this tornado or whatever it is happening. And sometimes I would actually hear police officers talk on those frequencies. And sometimes they literally go around, collect handheld ham radios from volunteers, so that they can be distributed to the police officers. In Denmark, before we changed over to Tetra, it was all analog, and in fact, their system was woefully weak. I don't know why it's not updating here. You don't really have to share my screen anymore, Jared. But
well, you can turn off the screen share on your end.
Oh yeah, of course. But no, in Denmark they have these repeaters everywhere, but they don't. I mean, they have to actively start them up by hand, on their radio, either in their police car or their handheld radio. They have to punch in the code to activate it. Then it'll shut down once you're done with it. But they would have a shitty coverage. Really bad coverage, and in fact, I could take my ham radio, which use one of the repeaters that has more or less the same, it uses more or less the same frequency area as the police band did back then, and I would be able to by using one repeater, talk from have an effective range from handheld radio to handheld radio over 150 kilometers.
Nice.
So part of the reason is because that we don't just get issued a radio and expect it to work. Keep the antenna nice and snug up against your body. No. We know how to optimize our stuff, not just the handheld radios, the vehicle-mounted radios, but also the repeaters. Yeah. So we here we go. Where am I? Oh, Africa. so yeah. Sorry.
Well,
about that.
I'm trying to figure out where Jay is.
This is Bangor, the sub base that I was stationed at.
Okay, I thought it looked familiar.
Well, what's really funny is I'm laughing at the the Google Maps update here.
Yeah.
That it's cut off the whatever these barges are, but
they're probably just berthing barges.
No, it doesn't look like they're quite berthing barges, because guys can sleep on the boats when they're.
It depends on how much of a rehab they're doing. Yeah.
If they're doing anything major like that they need a berthing barge, they take them over to PSNS.
Ah.
PSNS?
Puget Sound Naval Shipyard.
Oh.
But I want to see how big a Ohio class submarine is. This is the dry dock that they're in. 560 feet.
And I have to translate that into science. Hang on. Where is it?
Your boat was a little bit bigger than mine. So.
And it handled like a pig.
No, not that much mass.
Oh yeah.
What did you say? 500 and what?
560 feet.
Yeah.
160. 170. 170 and a half. Okay.
But yeah, it's actually part of the Navy contract for this particular base here. This entire area is it has to be
Bangor.
Minimum 70% forested.
Around the area? Oh.
On the base, not around the base, like literally on the base. And
why?
It's part of the then governor. I want to say it was Booth Gardner. He's very much an environmentalist, and he wanted to make sure that the Navy didn't do too much damage. As a matter of fact, even post 9/11, we'd have Native American tribes fishing and crabbing and clamming all along the water here.
Yeah.
Normally they're not allowed to. Normally civilians not allowed on the base, but they're allowed to. This is where we would go for sea trials after doing a refit period.
Right here, just right over there. Wow.
Yeah. And then there's it's nice hot skip and a jump over to your island there.
Oh yeah, I was up at just above Coopfield there. Yep.
Right here.
Yep, right there at Altfield. But
yep.
While I was there, I did a stint on the Stennis, which was keep going down.
Oh, I know where. Right down here.
There. Actually, if you zoom in there now, you'll actually get to see the Kitty Hawk. She's still there.
Yep. Right over here, right?
Yep.
Somewhere over here.
Yep.
Right there.
What's the background for that name, by the way?
What was that?
What's the background for that name?
The Kitty Hawk? It was...
it's a plane.
First, no, not a plane. It was the location in North Carolina where the first sustained flight of 11 minutes took place.
Oh, you mean where it's the whether it was
Kitty Hawk, North Carolina,
the Wright brothers, yep. Or the two Danish bike mechanics were the first people to actually fly. Yeah, that one.
Yep.
I don't think that was ever cleared out, actually, whether it was the Wright brothers or these two Danish bike mechanics who were actually first. It doesn't really matter all that much, but
yeah,
I just remembered of that.
And for the U.S., it was the Wright brothers, and they did it at Kitty Hawk, and that's why actually the moniker, the official motto of the Kitty Hawk was "First in Flight."
Mm-hmm. Well, especially with the current, I don't like politics, so don't worry. Especially with the current presidents, America always wants to be the first and the biggest, and we're the best, we're the biggest, we're the fastest, and so on. They're not really, not always anyway.
No, not always.
Yeah, no. So when we took the Michigan around from being converted from a ballistic missile boomer boat to the guided missile submarine, that was the Ohio was right here. Our berthing barge was right here, and we were right here in this dry dock right here. Drive my motorcycle up. Oh yeah, right back in this area here.
Yep.
This is where the motorcycle parking is.
Yeah, decent walk.
Oh yeah. Well, what's even better is being young and stupid in my good old Navy days. Like every sailor out there. Where is it? 303. This section right here. I went flying between a Kitsap County Sheriff and the Washington State Patrol at about 125 miles an hour.
Oh, that's one place where the U.S. is not the fastest. What's the maximum allowed speed on the U.S. freeways?
Depending on the state you're in, I want to say it's Montana or one of the Northern Plains states has a max interstate speed limit of 80 miles an hour.
Utah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Our highest ones here go 70. So.
Yeah, it's Utah has it because I drove that with a U-Haul and towing my car when I moved from Washington to Colorado for all of 5 months.
Yeah, your typical speed limit is 65 nationwide, but there are 60? A few.
I thought it was okay.
Well, originally it was 55, but but so many people were driving 65 that they upped it to that, and now people are averaging 75, 80. So a couple states went up to 80, and who knows what the fuck's going on those roads now.
Yeah, we haven't gone to 80 here, but my state also, it's like first you have I think the fastest ones are 70 or 75. I think that's 75. There's a little bit of trick in that too, though, because we have two rules as far as where it goes from speeding to reckless driving, and one of them is 20 miles over is reckless driving, or 80 or over. So, so even if you're in a 70 or 75.
Yep.
You hit 80, that's where it goes to reckless driving.
Every submarine base has to have a Thresher street, a street named after the Thresher.
Right. Yep. So this is a Subcrew 9's office, the Admiral's office there. Then our training facility, TTF, right here. The wet trainer is always fun to do. Even worse when it did it in Groton in January. God.
I did the wet trainer luckily in was it early April, so it wasn't too bad. But
it was cold, but not that bad.
The water was still cold though.
Oh yeah, no.
Those huge tanks had just been sitting outside all winter. Those were not cold.
I could imagine them doing that specifically as well. I mean, in a real life situation, would it be cozy warm?
Oh hell no.
Yeah.
Not where we not where we usually were.
No, if you want to see a fun base on how it was laid out, well, first go to Pensacola, Florida.
Oh, the wet trainer where everybody dies. So
we'll start out there. So
okay. Where's the base?
Lower left.
Navy base.
Lower left.
Lower left. Oh, I see it right there.
So this
German field and all that.
This base was huge. So the airstrip you see there, that's where the Blue Angels do most of their training out of. Now, if you go to the right side of go to the right side of the base. Yep, right there. You can already see it from here. The massive building in the middle. So
okay.
No, all right. So on your cursor.
Okay,
Yep, right where the NATTC. Yep, that is the mega building. It is called that for a fucking reason.
Yep, that's huge.
I think about how high up you are right now, and it's that big on the screen.
Oh yeah, that's a training building and a half, isn't it? Jeez.
Oh, we had us, we had Air Force, we had Marines.
Can I do it? No, probably not.
No. If you could, there would be blue lines on the road.
Yeah, I figured that would be, but
yeah, generally those things aren't able to get onto the base. But so actually, go back in a little bit more. All right, now scroll slightly up and slightly right.
Well, you might be able to do it on Apple Maps.
Okay.
Just saying.
Okay,
they started doing that as well.
So go ahead and stop right there. So all those, well, in this orientation, looking buildings, those are all the barracks that the students were in.
They look
like they're all at least 6 stories high. Too, right?
3 stories high each. The one I was in was that top row all the way. Yeah, all the way left, all the way right. So that was cell block A, B, C, D is where I was.
There you go with the prison references. Yeah.
Oh, it was. So, well, keep in mind. So those 4 were all Navy. The next 2 buildings down, the left. So not the other I ones. Yep, that one right there. That was the galley. That was the chow hall.
Yeah.
Take a guess who was in that one. Now that
looks like the Pentagon thing.
That white one there, that one is 6 or 7 stories tall.
Yeah, you can tell it's pretty big compared to the other ones.
Yeah, the shadows. Yeah.
That was the Air Force barracks.
Why does that not surprise me?
Because it's the fucking hotel.
Yeah.
You know what's sad is where I work. I'm right next to, not right next to, but I'm basically within the living area of Joint Base Lewis McChord, Fort Lewis and McChord when they merged.
Yep.
So I get Army and airmen in there all the time. I have a reputation on the bases that if you come to my gas station, you are going to get ripped on hard. And I actually put a Dependa in tears one day. She called them my store and was complaining about me, even though I was just ribbing her husband while he was there. Just kind of, oh, you were in the chair for us, just that whole, I'm my spouse's rank and all that other stuff. And he was just in the E3.
She was one of those.
Well,
yeah.
At least you didn't get picked on for getting yourself covered in shit.
Oh, yeah. No, we on the boomer boats, and the fast tech guys might attest this. The boomer boats, we were basically the Air Force of the submarine fleet. We actually had porcelain toilets that flush like normal toilets.
Yeah, well,
ours
were stainless steel, and
had
a big lever ball valve and a valve.
Oh, yeah. Nope, I heard all the stories, and I was just like, yep, I'm fine right where I'm at.
Oh, it's like me on a carrier, talking to people on the frickin' small boys. They're like, man, this shit sucks when we're out in seas like this. And I'm like, nah, it kind of sucks going up and down the ladder, but fuck, it rocks me to sleep beautifully.
I only had to use we had straps in the rack on our I don't know if they had them on. I presume they had on the boomers too. We had straps on the racks on the fast attack. There's only one time I ever used them though. So
yeah, we had straps on the boomers too, but it was pretty much like optional. Well, when I finally got to go into one of our 9-man berthing areas, I got put on the top rack because I was the junior guy.
They're called staterooms on boomers.
No, they're not that spacious. We didn't have as much room as you guys would like to think we did. And I know the difference. I have toured enough boats to know. But
did you have to hot rack?
One time I did, yes.
I'm like 9-man berthing. That's where we kept the JOs at.
Yeah, right.
No, I understand. Yeah. I'm not trying to say that I had it hard at all. No, but I had the one rack that didn't enclose in anywhere, so that's the time I actually put up the straps to keep myself in, and I found out the hard way they don't like to stay secure very well, so I ended up when we pulled into Pearl that for that TRE, I went into the exchange and bought like car tie downs, and just strapped myself into the rack that way.
Our strap stayed secure.
If it works, it works.
Yeah.
The one time I used ours, didn't have.
So what's this about barracks? Sorry guys, I had to take off for a few minutes. What was this about?
Oh
barracks?
no worries. We're just doing Google Maps flyovers of some of the bases we were at, but yeah,
Did you do the Nazi barracks?
I'd say to Google Map fly over my boot camp, but it's not there anymore. So.
Yeah.
And
even then, Chicago has changed a lot.
Oh yeah, it has.
Did you do a Google Maps of the Nazi barracks?
Nope.
Nope.
San Diego,
probably
do a Google search. San Diego Nazi barracks.
I think that's over on the 32nd Street side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Just
no. So do San Diego 32nd Street naval base,
but not on Google Earth, but
I'm on Google Maps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
San Diego 32nd.
A regular Google, not Google Maps.
Well, it's basically the same these days. You get the same data.
Well, if it doesn't find it.
Okay.
No, it's just finding 32nd Street. Just regular Google, not Google Maps. Regular Google, San Diego Nazi barracks.
Oh, I know which ones you're talking about. Yeah.
Or San Diego swastika barracks.
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. I've seen the images. Oh, yeah. I know which ones you were talking about there, right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's over in Coronado. That's right.
Yeah.
That's the other side of it.
The Navy likes designs similar to that. A lot of our barracks are set up not necessarily swastikas, but there's very similar patterns.
If it's strictly for practical reasons, I don't care. Even if it was a "fuck you" sign, I mean, it's near a
You see a lot of H's and crosses. So those Swastika barracks is really just a combination of those two models when you think about it.
Yeah.
A lot of big ass helipads.
My chief got drunk here at one of our parties and climbed up the palm trees with his arms. Yeah.
Why does that not surprise me?
Yeah, Navy. You know, I mean, yeah.
I never have much to say about my chief, except how much I hated him. So.
My chief was pretty cool. He looked after us compared to my first chief, my senior chief, who became the navigation operations enlisted department advisor, or no idea as we called them.
Hey, that would have been a good name for mine.
Yeah, let's see. We pulled in when we pulled in, we were all the way back over here on this pier because we had to be part of. For some reason, they wanted us more next to the dev crew that was here, the dev squadron here.
That's San Diego.
Yeah, it's Point Loma.
So they're thinking that might be my old boat because it's moved to San Diego since then. Because that thing looks like a Flight 3 Los Angeles, the one at the end. Not that one.
Over. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, that's a Flight 3.
Yeah. Where's the Hampton out of when you were on it?
I was on it when I was in Norfolk, so it was fairly new when I was on it, so like a year in commission.
So a couple years old.
The guy who hosts my podcast and internet radio side that I do, he was on the USS Michigan, the same boat I was, starting on patrol number 3. So it was the second patrol of his crew, doing a deterrent patrol. And then it's really funny how I showed up. How we connected was really just on some random Navy submarine group Facebook page. Let's see. Any other bases we want to go check out?
Boomers have 5 crews.
Let's go over to NAS Jacksonville.
No one wants to hear that joke.
Oh, I've heard it so much I phased it out.
Okay. Well, the joke is boomers have 5 crews: gold crew, blue crew, this crew, that crew, and the other crew.
And we always blame the other crew for some reason.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this spot was really condensed for, but so right there that,
this is the basic base right here.
The majority of that is the base, yeah. Like not the country club at the top, but
right.
But so you can kind of see where it cuts in. And we go down to that is the actual golf course that we had on base there, in about the middle of the screen right now.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tough military life there.
Well,
I mean, only one golf club, just one. Oh, that must have been terrible.
This
isn't the Air Force.
No, this is Naval Air Station,
sorry,
and all the P3 now the P8 crews, all the new aviators trained on that aircraft are trained at this base.
So you mean the guys that think they can hunt submarines? Okay.
Yeah.
But the golf course, was that paid directly by the DoD wallet, or was it a welfare deal? I mean, a golf course.
I think it was combination base funds and MWR. It is a paid course that we actually do have to pay to play on. But so you scroll in on the base on the industrial side of it. So
over here?
Yep, scroll up. So that right side there, that was where all the helo squadrons are.
Right.
The horizontal at the top, just off the flight line, that's where the S3 Viking squadrons used to be.
Okay.
3.
What was that?
I know. It just I'm not sure, but I think it rings a bell. S3.
S3.
It was kind of it was a smallish, squat aircraft. Had these huge turbofans on it. I mean, you identifiable. Thought you'd probably go, oh, that one.
They were carrier-borne anti-submarine aircraft.
Yeah. So when I worked on this base, I was in that octagonal
the hexagon?
A hexagonal hangar right there, which held 4 of the P3 squadrons we had there, and the composite squadron is in the bay to the lower right. So we had the reserve composite cargo squadron there.
Right here?
Yep. And then the other 4 were P3s, which are now upgraded to the P8. Which I think the P8s took over some of those old VS, the S3 squadron barracks. But so that's where one of Embry-Riddle's campuses is actually held, which is why I started my first degree with them. A little further down is actually where the East Coast NADEP is. So the depot level guys,
right?
They were based out of this base. Scroll out a little bit. Okay, so right under where it says Jacksonville Naval Air Station, that funky looking building.
Right here?
Yeah, scroll in on that.
All right.
It almost looks like a skull or something.
Looks like a pair of goggles.
Actually, what I was thinking of, it kind of looks like the old signalman rating. Kind of take away the little posts.
That is the enlisted barracks.
Smudges on the bottom there. Yeah.
That is the enlisted barracks for the majority of the base.
Have you looked at Yokosuka yet?
Oh, no, we haven't gone over there yet.
Well, we can go there. Spell it for me, because I...
Yokosuka. Yep, right there. Yokosuka Kanagawa Prefecture. So, just above the middle of... Okay, goes... Yep, that to the right, that peninsula there.
Right here?
Yep, that is where the base is. It's almost the... Actually, it is the majority of that peninsula is the base.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So, hey, the Blue Ridge is there.
I was going to say, is this the Fitzgerald or the McCain?
Oh, don't know which one, but it's got to be one of them if it's fairly recent. So
yeah, because
that's where all the Japanese national shipboard workers work out of. So that pier to the right there, that you just scrolled over where the 2 ships
this
are.
One?
Yep.
This one?
That is where the Kitty Hawk used to park when we were there. Because they were working on that pier you're close to now on the other side.
Right over here?
Yep. The reason why they were working on it is because they were already getting it ready for a nuclear carrier. So when the Reagan pulls in, they pull into that pier. But the big ship that you just scrolled off the screen at the bottom, that is LCC-20, USS Blue Ridge.
Yeah.
The biggest fucking bastards on that base.
Scroll down, bottom to the right.
Bottom to the right?
Oh, going up on the hill?
No, I'm trying to find where oh, jeez, this screen's so small I can't see. Too far.
Are you on your phone or a computer?
Yeah, I'm on my phone. Can't see shit. Anyway, no, I used to work I did shore duty there. Commander Submarine Squadron 7.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Subgroup 7? Scroll straight down.
Straight down?
Yep.
Well, I know where it is now. It's in the mountain.
Well, yeah.
When I was there, we weren't in the mountain.
So, interesting thing. So, see that almost U-shape building at the bottom there?
This one right here?
Yep. That is one of the last buildings on base. Right next to it, just across the fence there, that is a shopping mall. Hey, they got the haunch listed on there.
I mean, find Mikasa Park.
Mikasa Park's straight right. Boom, right there.
Zoom in on the Mikasa.
That is one of the oldest battleships.
Yeah, it was the flagship of the Japanese admiral that kicked the Russians' ass. Where is it? Yep, right there. Yeah, you look at it, it's a tiny little thing, but back in the day, 1905,
it was a beast.
It kicked the Russians' ass.
Oh, they don't even have that thing in the water, do they?
Nope, it's embedded in concrete.
That is smart.
So nobody steals it, I guess.
Well, it reduces upkeep.
Yeah, upkeep. I'm thinking of.
So up in this area here that you're just at now is a lot of the cargo, security forces training. Holy shit, they did put the Chili's in. They were talking about that shit when I left in 2008. But there's also the Army veterinarians up there. The Navy Lodge looks like an L. So okay, so see the triple towers right there. Yep, those are high-rise family housing. So it's the enlisted members with family with them. So I actually was in that third one right there. You were just over.
This one right here?
Yep. That is each ni sanban right there. That is they actually named them 1, 2, 3, but in the Japanese language. So going from right to left, it's ichiban, niban, sanban, ich ni san, roku. Oh fuck, I forgot it.
Ichi ni go is 4.
Ichi ni shi yon go roku.
Yeah.
Ichi ago nana ju.
I'm sure I would have loved it there because the scenery looks beautiful and all, but I'm glad I never went.
Where's the commissary? Can you find the commissary? Show me the commissary exchange and I can get orientated.
Scroll down slightly. No, down.
Okay.
Commissary, stop.
Right there?
Yep.
I'll center it in the screen a little better there.
Okay, yeah. Okay, there's the barracks. Okay, go left.
Go left?
A little bit, yeah.
Yep, CFA commander's up there.
Dang, this changed so much. I was there. I left in '91. So, okay, I think that biggest building there on the lower left. That can't be it. That's too freaking big.
No, that is a supply. That's part of Fisk. That's part of the supply chain. But what's fleet?
Scroll down just a quarter of a screen.
Yep, there's Fleet Rec.
Yeah, my building's gone. Where I worked is gone.
Was it like somewhere in this area here?
Yeah.
Car park, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, below to the right of the huge building, probably.
Right there, yeah.
I mean, judging by the
Well, that big
geography.
Yeah. See that that parking lot off there to the left. There's a tunnel that led off to the married housing.
Oh yeah.
Decided
where.
Hey, Jay, if you have Google Earth, you can use the history function, so you can see older maps.
The tunnel.
Yeah, I do have Google Earth.
Actually, yeah, there is a tunnel there.
Or Pro, perhaps even. Yeah. But seeing these huge bases and barracks makes me kind of, embarrassed by my own.
Here's
conscription time barracks.
Here's the thing with Yokosuka is the base, when you're on it, doesn't seem that big as it does from looking at the maps.
Well, that's probably because they made it so that it's for example, this forest area, you can see the paths. You can, let me take another angle. If you look at at a street map of, say, New York, for example, I've never been there, but you can see a map. Mm-hmm. There's these blocks. There's just endless rows of streets. It's that could be overwhelming. But if you build a city with angles and so on, it won't seem so big.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mental thing. If you can't see the end of a road, even though you know it's just as long as the other one, that's straight, it doesn't feel as long because you can't see the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it being really big.
If you guys want a really good laugh, try putting RAF Niedersed in and seeing how good that is.
A lot of our bases are pretty big.
No, it's a
well, hang
base.
on. Let's Jared find the haunch.
Oh, scroll out just a little bit. Yeah, they actually had it labeled. All right, you're gonna have to zoom in a little bit.
Yeah, no, I was trying to. I saw it too.
Yeah, right. Down, right there.
The haunch.
Huncho.
Which is a bar?
Strip of bars. Like that entire...
Yeah.
So from... Alright, go ahead and take your cursor to... Alright, put it over the haunch itself.
Okay.
Alright, go left until I tell you to stop. Keep going. Keep going.
I'm trying to...
Stop.
There.
Right here?
Yep, so that intersection down slightly and to the right, one building. From there to where the 26 is on the other end of that street. 80% bars.
Wow.
Well, you've got a naval base there. You need plenty of bars.
The competition there, that would be fierce.
Let's see.
Well, my
Pull on my
favorite
Google Earth and
restaurant.
see if I can get some.
Oh, where's your range scale?
Hold on, just a
I
second.
see it on the screen.
Lower right, he's at 200 foot for every inch and a half.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, there it is, yeah.
Yeah, so when
full.
we were in Homeport, if you had the Shore Patrol watch, we were out there just making sure people weren't being stupid along that street. That was between there or the gate itself, which was... Oh, where's the main gate? Oh, right there, the frickin' white building in the middle of the road right there, straight up from the haunch. So that bigger building to the left of that road, that was a combination bar, restaurant, and mixing, like mixer place. They actually had an Italian restaurant in there, and down on the first floor.
Kind of food court? Or?
No, like an actual full-on restaurant. They called, what was that, Cafe Italiano? If I remember right. And the first floor was Club America.
Where's the place that sold stick dogs? That was right across.
Sounds like bad memories there.
No, I'm trying to remember.
It's what they called corn dogs. They just called them stick dogs.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant actual dogs on a stick or something.
Oh no, that's Korea and China.
The Philippines.
And the Philippines.
I mean, I haven't tried it. I don't want to knock it until I've tried it. So.
Oh yeah, 7-Eleven there is a trip. Some of the stuff that they have is just weird, but tastes good. That's the odd part.
Yeah, it's like 7-Eleven weren't just like 7-Elevens in the U.S. You could like pay your bills, mail letters, all kinds of stuff in Japan.
Buy fish flavored gummy bears.
You'd have the odd flavor gummy bears, but the thing that really got me was they had steamed rice wrapped in the seaweed wrap in the oh fuck, what was the name of the wraps?
Kelp.
Yeah, it was the dried kelp, but
nigiri.
Yeah, the nigiri wrap.
Nigiri.
Are we talking about sashimi or sushi?
No. So the nigiri is just it's dried sheets of seaweed they would wrap around rice and sometimes something else inside of the rice itself. It would either be a ball or a triangle, and is the perfect just little handheld food as you were going and doing something.
Yeah,
so it's
if
just
you
basically
were walking
veggie
to a
food.
restaurant and you couldn't wait, you would stop and buy a nigiri. Okay, what were you saying, Alan, about RAF what?
Nika said N-E-A-T.
RAF.
N-E-A-T.
There it is.
I-S. The big square building in the bottom right-hand corner is the building I used to work in. That one there. That had...
Ooh,
that's
got
a
a museum,
base?
too.
Yes, everything I worked on is in the museum.
Check the building center left. Another swastika, almost.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's new since I worked there.
Yeah. Let's see, how many towers are there? On this, they're just lighting towers. There's at least 5, 4. Well,
There's
4, 5, or 6. Well, no, wait,
four.
those are lightning rods. Some of them.
They're Link 11 and Link 14 towers.
Ah.
Link 14. HF or?
I believe they're VHF.
Yeah, they're VHF secure comm.
Yeah, I was.
But they're vertical and not horizontal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're vertical. Yeah.
Polarized. Okay, fair enough. It's just they basically look like
well,
lightning rods.
It's the shadows
radar.
you're seeing of the towers because they're they're thin vertical. They're just vertical masts.
Can you zoom out
high.
can you zoom out so we can see where this is?
Not too fast.
Oh wow.
No,
it's
not nowhere near Belfast, but too fast is okay. Okay, that was weird. Sorry.
Hey, isn't Hillel going over here?
Yeah, he's going up to that
look,
part.
the Isle of Man. Oh, sorry. No. Not gonna go there.
See, what's funny is they can't just call it Newcastle. It's Newcastle upon Tyne.
Because it's the Newcastle that's on the River Tyne as against the Newcastle that's in the middle of the country, which is on the River Trent. Because we have more than one new castle in the United Kingdom, and of course they're all actually about 1,000 years old.
Yeah, I forgot the Hague was that close.
What? Hey, Alan.
Alan, when we're talking about England, what is the which part of England is the first place they started with getting popular with the personal hygiene? Why do you call a city Bath?
Oh, because there was a bath. Because the Roman baths. Because it is actually there is a very famous hot spring in Bath.
It's still active.
Yes, it's still active, and
it's what near Southampton.
Yeah.
Yes, every Friday.
No, it's not near. It's not near Southampton. It's near nearer to Bristol.
Yeah.
Oh, Bristol. That's where they built the anchor for the Titanic, right? If I remember correctly.
Probably. Weston-super-Mare is where I did my trade training in electronics.
Hey.
At a place called RAF Locking.
Hey, Alan, what do you call the river that runs through London?
The Thames.
The river of London. Yeah.
What do you call the river that runs through New London, Connecticut?
Oh,
I have absolutely no idea.
It is spelled the same way, but locally it is pronounced the Thames.
Oh, yeah. Of course it would be, wouldn't
it?
Or
the Thames, yeah.
Yeah. Thames, yes.
When
provided it isn't too Thames.
Yeah, I was stationed there for 10 years, 11 years, and I would pronounce it Thames, and people would look at me funny.
Oh, the locals will give you crap for it all the time.
Yeah, I knew the history, and
yeah.
At least a few of us were there, because
I just couldn't get myself to pronounce Thames or Thames.
Well, actually, go ahead and go over. Do Norwich, Connecticut.
Oh, not Norwich.
You mean Norwich, not Norwich?
Yeah.
It's Norwich over here.
Seeing as how Norwich is my closest main town, well, city.
I opened a can of worms,
Another
didn't I?
perfect example of
Norwich,
butchering the language.
So here's the thing. No. Scroll the other way for a second. Up. You went down. Other way is up. So Sprague, that is the town that I lived in for fucking ever. It was actually for about 12 and a half, 13 and a half years. So go ahead and scroll out slightly. Now go down. Yep, keep going. Yep, there's Uncasville. There's New London. Subbase is right down there, just north of I-95.
Yep.
A little bit further north, right? Yeah, right there.
Yeah,
right
I know it is.
My dad finished his career there.
Well, that was my first. That's all of my schooling pretty much was there, except boot camp. Actually, I think my school building's still there.
Oh yeah, the schoolhouse is still there.
Yeah, no, down. If you go down further,
No, I know what you're talking about. I just.
If you're not a nuke, you go to New London for school.
Yeah, I was looking for the main entrance here.
That build right there where Tautog and the avenue with the split. That building right there, Lucky Hall. That's where my A school is at.
Let's see, where were the?
So the back gate, is right there at Ohio Ave. You gotta remember, I grew up around this space. I know it probably better than most people who have been there.
In other words, you've been all the places you shouldn't as well.
Oh yeah.
Well, I was there in various schools for about a year and a half. So I was there for.
Trying to find.
I had seen quite a bit of it.
Are you trying to find the back gate, the side gate, or the main gate?
No. I was looking for the barracks that I was in. Things have changed a little bit since I was there. Looks like this is it here. Yeah, here we go. So I had. This was the main. Like sonar and FT school when I was there.
Yeah, still is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or was when I was doing. This was my FT.
Yeah.
There's actually two other buildings there too, because there was used to be a overpass bridge thing that you walked through that connected a second building there, and then another one over that road over there.
Yeah. So that's best. That's the fire trainer.
Yep.
Oh, that's the why it looks like that.
The flooding trainer is over a little bit too.
Yeah, flooding trainer I thought was right here, or
no, it's go up further.
It's been forever since I've been there. So
did they ever build the escape trainer?
There it is.
When I retired, they were starting construction on
the full trunk
escape trainer.
Well,
they used to have the tower when they got rid of that at
the pond.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some guy drowned in it.
Oh man, there it is, right on there.
Yeah.
Oh, the lake. Did they ever open up that lake?
Oh, it was open off and on for swimming at the northern end.
Yeah. But I ended up having my QM school right here. My QM portion of my A school right here.
Your barracks up there. Those two H buildings. Like if you go down, like go back.
Which way do you want me to go?
Go down and to your right, to the right, and just past where that white building right there in the corner is, and then Okay, go over the right now. Right there. Those two
those
buildings.
Ones.
Yeah.
Those were my barracks. I was in the for Bess. I was in the northern part of the barracks, and then I moved to the southern one through my sea schools. So.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is when I was there in '99, this was converted over to Chiefs Barracks. Both of these buildings. While I was waiting to class up for Best, one of my jobs was to help out with maintenance in there. We did a room inspection. A guy had his motorcycle and parts in there while he was out to sea.
That doesn't surprise me.
What is that in that bed?
Oh, there was oil leaking everywhere too, which was even worse.
Oh yeah, nice.
So we ended up pulling all the parts out, putting it into a storage unit.
Scroll back to the piers.
The piers, sure thing.
The lower base.
The Roach Coach. Yep. Any particular pier you want?
Go down to the southern piers. I'm going to show you where I worked. My last command, Naval Submarine Support Center.
Oh, right there.
Yeah.
Nope.
Were you on Nautilus?
Oh, nope, too far south. Now you're down with the Nautilus. Go back.
Yeah. There's the Nautilus. Scroll up a little. I can't see shit on this phone.
Should be right there at that building. No.
Yeah, it should be like right down in this area, the sports center, right?
Yeah, it was. Can't make out.
Yeah, it's,
and right there.
That's actually changed a little bit, so it's probably a little bit different.
I'm sure. Yeah, I think it's that.
It's been changed from when I was in.
With the dark gray building.
The dark gray building.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yep. When my dad finished out and retired, he was in there in the in that complex as part of the IMA. It's actually the reason why they held him for a few years before retirement. Well, we don't have someone qualified to replace you, you fuckers.
Yeah, IMA wasn't in that building.
Yeah.
RSG was.
Still don't miss it.
And Squadron.
Yeah, there's one of the bowling alleys. I wonder if they still have the other one. The other one. Yeah, the other one was smaller and up top on the hill.
That green roof there is the theater. I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah. In fact, I remember seeing Admiral Borda came and visited. I remember, and I saw him there. So.
Oh no! Those were the buildings. The next set up is where my dad was at the end there, right next to the label for Groton Chalet, a little lower.
Oh,
right there, right. No, it was still on the lower base, but right there.
Lower base, yeah.
What year is this picture?
That unfortunately Google Maps doesn't tell me right off the top. Because they're saying all the information updated.
It's from 2005.
Zoom on the floating dry dock.
I've got it on Google Earth Pro here, and it's from 2005. The latest one, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is 8 years after my dad retired.
Oh, it's empty.
We can go as far back as 1991 on that specific spot, anyway.
Isn't the Coast Guard Academy right across the way here?
Yeah.
A little further south.
Further south, yeah.
South, yeah.
Keep going.
No, I just want to see. Right here.
Yeah, I think that's it.
No, that's the college.
Right here.
Next down. There it is.
There it is.
Yeah. Yeah, we had an interbase rivalry with them for basketball when I was there. They didn't like it that the enlisted submariner school kids could beat them.
Well, they also
scroll down to EB.
They also didn't like that that some of us, like my family, would go onto their base to go to a couple spots to watch the fireworks every 4th of July.
Didn't have much interaction. They would come to the E Club there on base. Every now and then.
There you go. EB.
Yep.
Yep. Electric boat.
There's the big house.
Yeah.
Huh. You keep using those prison references. Big
Do
house.
you see why?
Yeah. Wonder what boat that is. It's a Virginia, definitely. Thanks. Yeah, that's definitely a Virginia.
Well, actually, guys,
with a white conning tower?
We've been going for 4 hours, and guess what time it is?
It's time for stupid.
6 o'clock.
It's almost time for movie night. So, for everyone who's been watching, thanks for joining. We'll see you next week. We're out.